Good morning and welcome to today's live show. If you're not watching this live, make sure to tune into the last 15 minutes and some very important things are happening today. So a quick reminder, needing some help trading in a market like this, some better use of these indicators, there is that course. It is 149 for the next 48 hours only. Okay, 48 hours left to get that for 149 before that price goes up. All right, pay attention to that. Now, today, as we hop into the SPY, I'm going to take the daily ranges with a grain of salt today. Okay, because we have a very, very massive range, even bigger than yesterday, right? So we have to pay attention to that. Now, what could we be seeing from here? There's really a way to keep it very simple, and we're going to talk about this multiple times as people do trickle in. Make sure to like the stream as you come in so we can get more people in here. But what can we pay attention to? Well, I would just say this right here was a display of volatility. This right here was a display of volatility. My stuff is not loading either. I'm gonna have to pull up my chat somewhere else, guys. But this was overall just a display of volatility. And did we do anything after this? Okay, so did we do anything after this? No. Well, we'd have to say, because this is all the info we have, and we see us trickling up. Well, if we get above this level here, bullish. If we get below this level here, bearish. That's keeping it very, very simple as of right now. If we lose that 500 level right below us, well, then that's going to be pretty bearish. Maybe if we lose that weekly range, okay, we'll be bearish, right? Because we're crossing down into negative territory. But as we are seeing some upward move, what do we have to pay attention to? Well, how would we break out? I would say above this level here is going to be bullish, right? And then if we can get past this zone, that's when we're really saying, hey, this is most likely going to squeeze. So pretty much if you are going to see downward price action from here and close below 500, then you're going to test this low or make a new one, right? But if we're able to close above this high and then get past this zone, maybe use it as support, this is where I think a squeeze comes into play. And a lot of that is dependent on Aapl, okay? That's very, very dependent on Aapl. My chat is not popping up right now, but make sure to be saying hey in the chat. I will get it up on YouTube so I can see what everyone is saying. Give me one split second here. Then we'll keep going. I have to pull up stream to see the chat. 2 seconds and we'll get back into the analysis. Thank you guys for liking the stream as well as you trickle in. For liking the stream as well. There we are. I have to watch my own stream right now because my chat does not want to load. Daily on the SPY is 491. Wow, that's why I'm taking it. The daily move on the SPY is actually 509. 509.63, and to the downside 491.07. Yes, but this is a huge range, so I'm taking this with a grain of salt, right? I'm taking this with a little bit of salt in it and saying, hey, we could just fiddle around until we get that news the next day, right? We don't have a ton of data. We got jobs data this morning, came in at 208, pretty much right in at consensus there. So we're paying attention to that, but it looks like we could be seeing some upward price action. So what do we want to pay attention to? We want to pay attention to the 2-hour curling up in positive territory. This is still what has to happen. And I think this is overall the signal down here that'll tell you, hey, some kind of squeeze is coming. If this is able to turn up after tomorrow, I would say, right? If that turns up today, you still have the chance for earnings to rip that away. But if this is able to turn up at any point, maybe doodle around up in this area, well, then we would say a break to the upside. We'd still need to break above this high, get above this zone. But squeeze is on if you get past this level. Squeeze is on if you get past this gray zone. And then the crash is back on if you get below where we're at right now. So pretty much below 500, we're most likely going to go test this low or go make a new one. And then above, I would say this level right here, 511. So 511, I think, is where you really want to get above, use that as support, and then you can really see some kind of squeeze. Fake out pre-market pump, it very well could be. That's why we're still paying attention to both sides. We're still paying attention to both sides because we're not going to get overly bullish, overly bearish. Right now, the 2 hours telling you, hey, it's still leaning towards the bear side. You're going to see bounce backs, and then those usually are met with selling. But if we're able to see those buyers really commit and get above this level, well, then you'd be making a new high, and we could start to squeeze as long as we see some good earnings. Earnings is going to be a huge deal. She's hiccuping like crazy. So good morning as you trickle in. Mark, your mom's basement. Dave, Stocks and Talks. Good morning. Grab some calls on FSLR. It's about to fly. Dave Spangler, Tesla Surge. We can go look at that. We're going to click through and look at the Qs. Did we make a new low with this volatile price action here? We didn't on the day, so very interesting. We weren't able to make a new low here. But guess what? That weekly expected move is here. So remember, the 68% chance to land right here is still there. So from this area, what could happen? Well, we could see this build up over time. So I would really pay attention to this going on into some important events into a Friday, because we do close in these zones on Fridays, right? So if we're going to see some kind of hip fire move out to the downside, okay, I'm ready for that. But if this 2 hour curls up, the probabilities are leaning towards some kind of break of this zone. You break that zone, well, now you've just gotten your cup, and this is a big handle. So you can make a full measured move of this all the way to the upside. And where would that kind of put us at? Well, let's take it from that daily move there just to be a little cautious with it. Well, it would take you outside of the monthly and you'd be testing the highs. So you see the squeeze is there if it wants to happen, but it really depends on Apple earnings. And it really depends on the data we get tomorrow. Now we're going to go over the dollar in a little bit, but Apple's starting to squeeze a little bit higher. So what do I want to pay attention to for Apple? I still want to see, look at this 30-minute here. One thing would be this. 15-minute curled over for a moment. You're kind of hoping it gave you some kind of divergence, but this is a very bearish bar. Did it come below the previous low? No, it did not. No, it did not. So it did not make a new low on the day, even with this selling pressure. Now we're seeing that reaction up. Okay, so at this moment, I'd probably be looking at my hourly, seeing if that turns up today, and then this would be a big signal that it's weakening. But remember, there is daily divergence behind this, so we have to be a little cautious. And the one thing about Apple that's actually pretty bullish is it's testing that high as of now, that high that we got with the FOMC, right? Well, not FOMC, with the Fed speech, yeah. Okay, boom, the FOMC meeting, boom, this goes up, all right. And then that starts to break above this high. That is a good sign to get to this zone, but will it be a divergence at that point? If this market's going to continue to be complicated, we just have to follow those signals very, very well. And we just have to react to what happens with Apple. So it might be a chance to find some good opportunities, but then also be willing to flip the script or hedge in this scenario. Now, we were talking about Tesla. Tesla here was one that is well outside of its weekly move. Remember, you can get those weekly expected moves on Patreon. The link's in the description, as well as the course that is $149 for the next 48 hours. I'm pretty sure it's 48 hours left to get that course for $149 before that price goes up. So we see this come down. We already said what's going to happen up here. Everyone asking me, should I take calls? Is this going to go higher? Should I take calls? Wait for it to get to the center line and cross up. Wait for it to get to the center line, cross up, and get into positive territory. This did not get into positive territory on this green impression on the histogram. That's ripped away. Did we make a new low? No, we did not. No, we did not. So now we can see that actually confirmed today. If we get above this high, good shot, we are going to test this high or go make a new one. Maybe we even get up towards that 205. If we get up towards 205, like rapidly, be a little bit worried there. But as we could be getting some good news from earnings, if we want to consolidate a little bit, you know, do some kind of like, maybe we cup and handle with this gap here, we get a little handle, and then we head up with those earnings tomorrow. We'll pay attention. But right now we're trying to use the top side of that weekly expected move as support to head higher. So pay attention if this actually confirms and goes positive in this area. Now, did Amazon go below the low of day yesterday? No, it did not. No, it did not. So really paying attention to this as we open the low of the day, the high of the day, seeing which direction we choose. We're pretty much right at where we need to break through for that head and shoulders still, right? So we're not getting that confirmation of upside. 30-minute even has divergence. So if this rolls over here, it's looking pretty negative for Amazon. Something very, very huge to pay attention to there. This would be a great signal to pay attention to this morning. NVIDIA, we're seeing some upward move again. Okay, the 30-minute crossed up. The daily is crossed up and trying to go into positive territory. So if this thing wants to see some steam, gain some steam here, that would make a lot of sense. This 30-minute did cross up, needs to go positive. Now, the cool part about NVIDIA was we didn't go anywhere near the low. We didn't really go near the low, and now we're seeing that reaction up. What do we like to do when we break through a zone? We touch the top of it. We break out to the top side, then we touch in it, and now we use that as support to head higher. So it is here, and we were talking about this on a 5-minute, just telling you about the cup and handle that could be forming here. Okay, look at that beautiful cup there. It looks great. You had the downward trend that was broken. We got a double bottom for a stronger base. Now we go up from here. This is great structure all throughout this. And then also, now we've completed the cup. This could be our handle, and we want to see if we can head higher. So if this is going to go our way for NVIDIA to go up, I'm already out of my position. This was plenty of money, took profit right at this high here as the SPY was hitting that upper daily expected move. So what would I be paying attention to? The 30-minute going positive. This would be a sign that this is most likely going to play out, and we're going to see this high taken out and see some kind of run here. That's what I'd be paying attention to. And if I really want to, I can look at a 2-hour, see this curl up. I think it was the hourly, actually, and I know we're flipping around a lot. The hourly right by positive territory. So if this curls up, you have a good shot to maybe make a divergence or something like that. You're hoping that doesn't happen if you're a bull. But it looks like we could squeeze if we get above these levels. AMD, this is one that I've kind of been paying attention to. Because it went and tested the weekly expected move and you got a solid divergence down here on a 2-hour. So this is what I'm thinking about. I mean, I think it looks like an okay play. It hasn't confirmed anything yet is the problem. So I have to wait till this confirms. I'm not going to try to take anything early with AMD because it's been behaving very negatively. People reacted negatively to the earnings, but that's not that big of a difference, and they surprised to the upside on one. So we could see some buying up from here. We just need to pay attention going forward. What's happening as of right now? Well, the 2-hour was not able to cross up. Let's pay attention to what the volatility looks like. Volatility looks like it has triple divergence on the Q or on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So if it does curl up here, be very, very cautious. We could see a sudden drop. Morning, where are those purple lines today? The purple lines are they stay the same. They're the weekly one. So they change every week. Every Sunday, we put out a video that shows you those if you want to make sure to have those notifications on, Matt. I know you're a little new here, but those are the weekly expected moves. Okay, so those are the weekly expected moves. Volatility can come in. You don't want volatility to come in when you're around those weekly expected moves, right? You don't want that volatility to come in because things get more selling piles on if you go outside of this range and volatility scaling up. But the range here, this will change on Sunday. Oh, we'll check your Patreon. And yeah, Patreon's where we put out the weekly expected moves for all of these stocks, okay? So you'll get the actual list. Usually I put that out in the morning on Sunday or in the afternoon on Sunday, just so you have that before the night video. So you can be looking at your charts while looking at the analysis. At this point, 2-hour curls up, that would take you above this high. So you're just looking if that 2-hour curls up for the Qs. One thing I wanted to pay attention to, Microsoft looked pretty good. Trying to confirm that right now. My goodness, this is a triple divergence, multiple point divergence on the MACD, but a triple divergence down here on the RSI. So this is a huge, huge point to pay attention. And you'll notice this too, even if we took the tightest tapering, like say with this right here, trying not to include that wick, well, we didn't touch that point again. That's another source of tapering there. So now we're moving across this way. And you'd even say this, if you want to talk about this wick right here, you have a low, you have a higher low, you have a high. So if you beat that high, you're going to be pretty bullish in this area. Good morning. Thoughts on Report Friday, bullish or bearish outcome? It's going to be very difficult to understand the data, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why the data is going to be difficult from a psychological perspective. Non-farm payrolls, okay? Non-farm payrolls and unemployment. Non-farm payrolls, like, okay, the jobs data he's expecting to stay strong, that's fine. But technically, strong jobs data means more inflation. Strong jobs data means higher rates for longer. Okay, so it's interesting to see, do people want the strong economy? Do they react positively to that? Or do they want a weak economy and react positively to that, or a weaker jobs data to react to that, because that would mean weaker jobs, less people having jobs, fighting inflation, that'd be more deflationary. So at this point as well, unemployment you have to look at. If that actually ticks up, do people react negatively and say, oh no, unemployment's ticking up? Or do people react positively and say, oh, the unemployment's ticking up, therefore the Fed is doing the job it's working? So there's a way you could spin it into a good thing no matter what. So that's why at the end of the day, the most important thing is the price action. That's why overall I pay attention to fundamentals, but the charts are what I am really going to follow, and I can just react based on what the charts do to figure out that sentiment. If we get, say, numbers that are inflationary tomorrow and it seems like bad news and you're wondering why it's going up, well, it's going up because it wants to, and all we have to do is react at that point. See that 2 hour, see us get above this level for Microsoft, get above 413. If we get above 413 on Microsoft, we could see some kind of squeeze. And the reason we could see some kind of squeeze, I looked at the max pain a little bit today, and for tomorrow's close on the SPY and the Qs, and you have people betting that the SPY is going to go down to like 460. You have people saying like the SPY is going to come all the way down to here by tomorrow, and that's just not the most likely. Now, we are rejecting from a very important area. We probably need to go into shorter time frames. I wanted to pull up a 5-minute just to show you how the other some time frames are still right around that negative territory or are in negative territory, right? Probably a 2 hour or something like that is in it right now. A 4 hour probably hasn't gone up in it, so the 4 hour crossing down something to pay attention to there. That's where I would look for a divergence at this point with the 4 hour and the 2 hour. But one thing you have to have is the shortest time frame I like is the 5-minute. And the 5-minute, I don't trade based on this very often, but if this rolls positive here, then you have another positive move coming, okay? So if the 5-minute rolls positive, you have another positive move coming. What happens? We probably test this high. We may even go make a new one, but that'll get us into this zone that's very important. And is that ripped away with Apple earnings? So we have to be on our toes. And if we get up to a place like this and we say, hey, a squeeze potential is there, maybe I want to hold some of this stuff, let it ride because I make money throughout this. Okay, now I want to have a hedge just in case I'm wrong. That's what I would say as far as that goes. Dow Jones, we probably do need to look at the Dow. The Dow was kind of hinting that there was some kind of pop coming, by the way, yesterday. Remember, we were paying attention to a 30-minute on the Dow, and we were just saying, hey, it's not really divergence, really, right? It's barely up, but it looked like it wanted to curl up, which means positivity. The Dow really not breaking down too low here. Kind of was saying it was going to get some kind of reaction. Now, what do we have? We do have consolidation, okay? So you're right to call out the look here. And it looks like what? Well, it looks like we got this downward line here. All right. We look like we're doing something like this. That's what I would probably connect at this point. And then from there, we can create something to on the other side, right? So we can create something like this and say, hey, whichever way this breaks, we're going to go up. Whichever way this breaks, we're going to go down, right? So we're going to go down if we break to the downside, up if we break to the upside. Very, very good stuff there. Now, the dollar is what someone was asking about. So what's happening with the dollar right now? Well, you're climbing up. This is a 30-minute. We don't like those too much. 2 hour. Let's kind of do a full assessment here. If the 2 hour curls up, negativity. So volatility is showing you, hey, I could turn up right now. So it's a good time to possibly hedge. It's possibly hedge any kind of upside that you do have because the dollar can easily rip here. We did get this level to come above this high, and I wanted to point that out for a moment on a 4 hour. Just show you guys how we're still having some divergence up here, but this could be a cup and handle. This could be a cup and handle for something more dramatic that is coming, and then from there we could see this start to drop down. But as of right now, we're seeing some selling come in. What do we pay attention to? 4 hour going positive, 2 hour confirming. Is that confirmed? It's about to, and look where that positive territory is. So this is a moment in time to actually hedge your bets. To this. Hold on. I'm not that convinced. Let's see. 10-year up. 10-year with some divergence here, so most likely that's heading up. TLT is going to head down from here. That's something to pay attention to. Maybe we make another point of divergence, which would say that the stock market most likely does head down a little bit, right? If we follow if we follow TLT, we follow HYG a little bit. We can look at HYG for a second. Remember, this is the high yield grow. So this would be considered your smart money. What's happening from here? Well, it actually, one thing to note yesterday, and this is this today? No, this is yesterday. It held up better here than the overall stock market. I know that's something we should probably look at. Now this does look like a flag, doesn't it? You can see it without even drawing lines. You can see the flagginess here. So if we want to continue negative, that'd be interesting. But it's interesting that we held up better. So the smart money holding on a little bit there. It's going to take some time to figure out what's happening in this market. And that's why I think we'll just look at a 5-minute for a little bit, see if that can roll up and go positive. That would be a good sign. As we start to fade this move, you'd say, you know, gap fill, but you just don't want to make a new low here. You pretty much, you don't want to get outside the weekly expected move. But if you do, and Apple saves it, that would be interesting. I don't know if I'm fully buying into a big drop here. I don't know if that's the right assessment at this point. We have to see a break to the upside, a break to the downside. I think that's the overall solution. We got to keep things a little simple out there, right? So we got to keep things a little simple. If this 5-minute keeps going negative, I want to pay attention. Is it breaking through this level? Is that 2-hour crossing on volatility? But if the SPY can just hold somewhere up over here, curl up on this 5-minute, then that VIX is not going to pop higher. So we'll have to see from there, but it looks like this would be the move. That looks pretty likely according to these weekly expected moves. If you're expecting them to land in there on Friday, well, then a sell-off tomorrow would not make sense. But that doesn't have to make sense. We're very close to it. A lot of the time when you do break through it, you do it at the end of the week, and then that kind of holds. So the ones that happen towards the end of the week hold more often than the ones that happen early on in the week and build back up. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Make sure this morning, as we're tuning in, we're still in the first 15 minutes. You got plenty of time to like the video. We're going to be live for a little bit longer today. Remember, we kept things short because we were live for Jerome Powell. Overall, like the selling at the end of the day, we would say we need to look at what the news is going out today. Maybe we want to see what's happening here. Do you have enough non-debt money? Stocks pressured on the prospect of higher for longer interest rates. Okay, so that's the narrative as of right now. Higher for longer is on the table, but apparently stagflation is not. Apparently stagflation is the new transitory. Matthew, I love the cup and handle on NVIDIA right now. I really, really do. It's amazing. And if this just crosses up, you're going to say, hey, the sentiment of the market most likely follows NVIDIA here. You see it on the 5-minute. You see the cup. You see the handle. It looks very good, but we're seeing that selling come in. Look at these wicks, right? So it is going to be a battle, but eventually if we're able to break through that level, you're going to see that strength come in. We are entering a lost decade. I think we have maybe another either few months, or if they want to kick the can, we could go on for another year and a half. We literally could go another year and a half if they want to kick this can down the road. Now, am I leaning towards a year and a half? No, I think this is going to be a sell and may go away. Things start to break down. A real correction comes in, and then we see some kind of bounce that people are convinced, hey, this is going to all-time high again, and then we sell off again in the fall. Late fall. Now, that's just an opinion, right? I have to still follow the charts. It doesn't mean I take trades based on that opinion. I still follow the charts. They are going to do whatever they want to do, and I just react. So if we can come above this high with some strength, it's going to be a good thing for NVIDIA because I have the structure. I have a curling up of the MACD. I have a 2-hour that wants to curl. I have a 30-minute. I have an hourly that wants to curl up, right? I have a lot of things that look like they want to cross to the upside, but they haven't done it yet. Now, NVIDIA looking like, hey, it wants to complete the cup and handle. Awesome. Complete that thing, and we can make some money. Hope this thing, like, YouTube always tries to get me to put mid-roll ads on, and I do not want to do that for a stream. So if you guys get like an ad in the middle of the stream, just let me know and I'll fix it. Don't want to flip around too much because I'm already on my premium page. But they keep trying to get me to do it. I'm like, I don't want that. Like, that is one of the things that annoyed me the most as a viewer. So, like, do I want to do that? Hell no. All right, 5 minute looks like it wants to curl up into positive territory. The Dow, yes, the Dow here, if it wants to curl up, you could be bullish. You still got to get above this high and break out of that. You know, someone said a pennant, that consolidating triangle there. Volatility, did this add up to anything? Well, it's starting to tick up. That 2 hour on volatility is what you really want to pay attention to. I still have a little hedge in place, but I'm thinking that we squeeze. Apple seeing a pretty big upward move here. We'll have to see if it's able to fight through this level. Remember, this low did not come down to this low. So this low didn't come down to this low. What do you do? Well, maybe this is a cup and handle. It's just a crazy looking cup and handle at this point. Tesla, what's it doing on the 5 minute? Well, it curled down right down towards this area, and now we can build back up. So even though this is where you would probably complete some kind of cup, right in this little bit of liquidity here on a 5 minute, and then what if this actually breaks to the upside after getting some good buyers down here? Now, ooh, that's flushing actually. So now we have to pay attention to the other way. Boom, look at that. We have to react. All right, 2 hour. 2 hour, we want to see, okay, is that able to go negative at this point? That would be a big telling sign. At this point, the 30 minute, is the 30 minute the thing? Yeah, the 30 minutes what we want to see. If that curls down, gets back within the weekly range, you're probably filling this gap. So if you take out this low, you're most likely going to go fill this gap over the next couple of days. Unless it's like, we take out this low, Apple gets good earnings, and then boom, it just skyrockets back up. But if this happens early on today and we lose this low, well, then it looks like we may flush and go down towards 168.20. That would be pretty crazy, but it makes sense with the weekly ranges, right? AMD flipping over to negative. This is why we don't buy in early to anything, right? Look at that. Flipped over to negative. Did not cross on the 30 minute. Did not cross on the 2 hour here. So starting to reject. We got to wait until that 2 hour really wants to cross. But if we don't take out this low, it could be a good sign for AMD. Really wish my chat would pop up. AMD breaking down lower and lower and lower. Let's see what AMD's up to. I just don't think that the bullishness is here yet for AMD. I'm being honest on that, which is interesting because Nvidia is just it was testing those levels, now breaking down. We still have time, but as of right now, not able to confirm the upside. So 5 minute here. Most likely was not able to cross, now getting some kind of rejection here. So maybe we want to consolidate, maybe we want to fill that gap first and then turn around. If this starts to go negative, you'd be a little bit more worried. I'd be a little bit more worried if this starts to go negative because this 2 hour can create a divergence down here and you can see this thing flush. But the weekly expected move is below us. So if we're going to get a flush, it makes sense because the weekly expected moves, you see more selling when you get outside of those. So if we see that happen, that would make a lot of sense, right? It would make a lot of sense to go like this because of that dramatic selling that can come in underneath that weekly expected move. And then boom, we get some kind of divergence. And that's the actual moment to get in. So I'm going to hold on to some of my longs and just chill with them for a little bit, see if we create anything that gets me another buying in opportunity to kind of scale into it at this point. I have a great price on Microsoft, and that thing is moving right now. It's still green as of right now. Want that to confirm, but if we need to go do another touch, what can I pay attention to? I can look at a 30 minute, watch this thing roll down, give me some slight divergence down here, and then start to break to the upside if I'm going to see that positivity. What am I going to see? Well, I'm going to see the 30-minute curl up right here. Little entry for myself to scale in again, and then boom, this thing goes up. So I'm not negative on this yet. Still up a good amount of percent, so we'll see if that wants to pull down to this level. Just don't take out this low. That's what I would say. Don't take out this low. Don't break through our trend lines. Because on the daily scale, if we just look at this, if we start breaking through trend lines, well, you could head to the 200, down towards 370. That's kind of crazy, but that would make sense, right? The next liquidity zone. So this would make sense still. But you're getting all of these. You're getting flatness down here. It really looks like it wants to bounce from this area. It's starting to lead towards another push higher, in my opinion. If that 2 hour can just confirm this move, we'd be solid here. Really choppy stuff going on. We're going to see a fight back and forth. Need coffee. I'm going to chug mine for a sec. FOMC seems to have made things more confusing. They always do. That's why it's like you have to wait, and now people are most likely going to fight back and forth until we get more stuff, more data, more Aapl, more economic data, right? So I'm not playing Aapl anymore. I'm already out of everything Aapl. I'm not doing that, right? It's one of my rules. Don't trade around the earnings. Oh, I chugged it. See if the Dow's telling us anything. Not really, but this 2 hour curls up. You're going to see a positive move here. So that's a great thing. And weirdly enough, you want to say cup and handle, right? Look at this cup, big handle, maybe a big handle. Now that's got a little bit more. The more liquidity we build up in this area with this cup formed and these handles in here, the more we build up right here for the Dow, the bigger the explosion can be. So we'll really pay attention if this is going positive or negative, because this is a big, big moment because you're piling up, you're getting tight, a big move is coming, and that move is going to be tomorrow. So I think a hint we could pay attention to is to really pay attention to HYG the rest of the day, see if this is breaking down. Now, HYG and TLT, they're going to react based on the data tomorrow. The data tomorrow is going to be a huge thing for these yields, for TLT, for HYG. So we have to pay attention to that. Dollar trying to creep higher, we'll pay attention to that as well. Volatility creeping higher on this 2 hour, able to confirm, can it go positive? Can it go positive? The next volatility spike might be right here. That is a bad look for stocks right now. That is a bad look for volatility. For volatility, it's a good look. Oh yeah, gold. We can check on gold. The weird thing about gold is it's in it's usually a negative correlation to the dollar, but recently it's been kind of positive. So it's still positive at this moment. So it's funny because geopolitical stuff has caused gold to go up and the dollar has gone up at the same time. So that's interesting. What could be happening with gold? Well, we could see some kind of spike here. So if that correlation is going to hold true, then you would say the gold goes up, the dollar goes up. Okay, so that's if it holds. The 30-minute here, what I'm paying attention to, this divergence down here that can form. If we don't even get that to confirm by going lower on the MACD, right, give us the actual setup, what would I be paying attention to? Well, the RSI, if that can pull above the center line and this MACD can go roll up positive here, a positive move could be coming. Now, I want you to look at this on a bigger scale. I want you to look at this on a daily scale and just see how we're breaking down for quite some time. We're in a falling wedge. Looks like we could get some kind of push to the upside here. So this is something just to keep in mind. If we're going to break down from here, still have that 207.80, and then we still have that 205.65, that good retracement back, and then we see that thing start to move to the upside again. But as you do have these divergences here, you have the opportunity to reverse the trend, right? Now you're not that close to the center line, you're still far away, so some kind of bounce most likely will come, but is that going to lead to a recovery? We'll have to see. Because the 2 hour looks like this, we do have no divergence down here, no divergence on the MACD, even coming down a little bit on that as well. Okay, so this, if it pops, is leaning towards some kind of bounce that leads to further downside, in my opinion, which would tell me if that correlation with the dollar holds true, then the dollar itself might do the same thing. So the dollar might see some kind of pop and then see that fade back down if it follows that same correlation. Google looks good too. Remember, Google was simple. That's why I like Google, because it was so simple. 30-minute curls up, positive territory. That's all we want. And this is below its weekly expected move still, I think, right now. I think it's still below it. So 30-minute curls up, can it go positive? Well, now that that's taken some time, maybe I want some confirmation with an hourly. Hourly curls up, positive territory, another positive move coming. One green bar above this high, good news from Aapl, and guess what? You're probably taking out this high and making a new one next week. Let's see. SMCI, something I was paying attention to a little bit. Then this was interesting because, you know, we saw this spike and when we see this drop down, this is where it's just crossing over negative territory. Look at this. This one here, this bar right here telling you, hey, I could go negative. And if you wanted maybe a 2 hour or something like that, most likely it happened on this bar. So that's a little bit rough. Yeah, I could tell before it loads. I'm like, usually when you get the big move, you're in negative territory. So gaps kind of mess with you a little bit. But if you wanted to say, hey, if I take the course, I learn how to make these ranges on Robinhood. I teach you how to do that on Robinhood, actually. Then maybe this was outside of its range and you knew that the probabilities were with you for a downside move and you can take a small position just saying, hey, I'm going to play the odds here and the odds are in your favor. Look at that big move. Okay, now we can climb back up. What would happen from here? Well, we curl up into positive territory with a slightly higher low. This is still a higher low, so you want to see if it breaks through the previous day high or it breaks down below the previous day low. Tesla dumping right now. Okay, we'll see. Tesla dumping as of right now. Now, remember, it can still get reactions from this area here. The 30-minute able to roll over at this point. So what do we want to dig into? Well, let's look at a 5-minute here. Let's look where that 5-minute is. Well, it's still pretty close to that positive territory. Have we made a new low here? I think that's going to be the telling thing. If we make a new low, then it looks like we might be going back into the range. If we go back into the range, we'll probably fill that gap. But if we can hold up right where we're at right now, be a good thing. So Tesla, a good thing to watch this morning. Now, if we want to see a full breakdown and we're going to bounce from this level, well, what would we see? Probably a head and shoulders. Probably a head and shoulders with this as your base. But Tesla flushing. We're not in Tesla. I'm not in Tesla. I don't like to trade things above their weekly expected moves. AMD almost down 1%. Not able to lose this low yet, but it looks pretty likely at this point. As things go negative, we have to see. Low of day for Meta curling back up. Okay, curling back up on a 5-minute. Good sign there. Not able to break below the low. Still paying attention to this low, though. This is some selling coming in. My God, I cannot believe that move yesterday. I was just, you guys saw me. I was just like, what the? Quick shout out to a few people. Just wanted to shout you out today. Patreon members, we got Elvis, Frank, and Grant in there now. Thank you guys so much for joining the Patreon. And Parth, thank you so much for taking the course. I hope you enjoy it and make sure to email me if you have any questions or anything like that. Now, as we do see some fight here, we just have to pay attention to the 5-minute. If that rolls up and goes positive, there could be another positive move coming. Maybe on the 5-minute for today, what if we see some big swings like this and then that gets tight by end of day and we get some kind of, you know, triangle with the current price action? That would be very interesting. We'll have to pay attention to what's to come with that. But thank you guys so much for becoming Patreon members and thank you guys for taking the course. 149 for the next 2 days, 48 hours left. That move must have been an algo move. Well, one thing about this move, and this very well could have been an algo move, right? The yields react and then the algos step in when that happens. But this giving up here, all of this would convince a lot of people that stocks need to head lower. Now, it can convince me if we start to lose this low. But there's a lot of people who probably took out shorts here. You can see it in the max pain. There's a huge amount of puts down all the way at 460. Okay, so I don't think something like that happens. I'm more saying a squeeze is possible if we get some upside traction, take out this high. We can squeeze into tomorrow. I'd really be looking, I think it would be pretty telling if Apple's going to be bullish. If we actually end up higher today, I think there's a good chance that we'll end up seeing a good print. Now, I'm not going to trade Apple. I'm still trading these signals. I'm not trading Apple or anything like that. I'm still looking for the next play higher. That would be a 5-minute crossing up, in my opinion. The Q's starting to drop down. Remember, they can fill this gap. They can fill this gap. They just can't lose this low. This low right here at 4, pretty much you can't lose 420. the thought here is, well, this piled on. Originally, this was probably profit taking, right? This was profit taking. You see the wick here. This is profit taking. And then it turns into, oh, now we profit took too much and the selling's piling on. People are convinced, hey, this needs to head lower. And now you're seeing a reaction up right when people get really bearish at the end of the day. Most likely we're going to see a reaction up. Okay, we get that reaction. Now people think, oh, it's going to head higher. Now we get that reaction down. People go, oh, crap, it's actually going to go lower. This thing really is going to sell off. And then boom, what if we just turn back up? So 5 minute, very, very important right now. If we just doodle around and bounce back and forth all day, that makes sense. It just puts a lot on the Apple earnings. Tesla got a new low. Okay, so Tesla actually breaking down. So this is this is a little bit more drastic at this point. What could happen here? 2 hours still in positive territory. That's one thing, but I think now that we're, I believe we're back in the range. Let me double check that. Let me make sure we're back in that range. Just now going back into that range for Tesla here. Now this would be a sign, hey, we're probably going to fill this gap today. Now, if that happens, you know, if we buy up from this point or anything like that, you more just don't want to close the day here. But we are making a new low. So you would say low, high, new low. Okay, now we keep going. Where do we go to? Most likely we go to this gap fill or a retest, right? Retest of this broken structure. All right, we broke out to the upside. We faked out to the downside, broke to the upside. Now we could get some kind of full retest and then head higher later. So volatility is here this morning, and this is proving it right now with Tesla. So thank you for keeping us aware of that. Coming down into the weekly expected move, just look for any buying up in this area. Look for any buying up in this area because we still can curl up on a 5 minute. I'm just paying attention to this area because it's the top side weekly and some support can come in there. If we need more support, look at the gap. If we need more support, look for us to go all the way down to possibly even here, right? Possibly even we could go all the way down to something like 150, 157. So it's not unheard of. Right now the direction is chosen. It's to the downside. We got to see if the SPY's following. We got to see if the Qs are following. That's the big thing here. Let's see this 30 minute. All right, curling back down. What if there's a brief divergence down here? So there are opportunities to be had today. We'll have to see if the things form for us to get those opportunities. But as of right now, Tesla breaking through, SPY is not. SPY is not. Are the Qs? The Qs are not. Qs are not. So let's keep a level head because what could also happen today? Well, what if we get outside that weekly move? We make a little 30-minute divergence, and then, boom, we go up from here with some good data tomorrow. Now we have to pay attention and react based on that. So unless this actually completes by the end of the day, I won't be taking any kind of position. Hard to trade around when it's Apple earnings, right? Apple earnings, whoo, little rough there for us. But 15 minute now on AMD. If this thing wants to go down any lower, I would say, hey, yeah, there's probably a 15. And you see the divergence on the RSI at least. So what that tells you is, hey, I have the chance to do something like this. If it crosses that center line, that looks pretty good. 2 hour, we have that divergence down here. So if AMD wanted to buy up from this area, it would make sense. Now, I have enough plays out there to the upside. I'm not adding anything today. All right, we're starting to wick up now on Tesla, by the way, above the weekly expected move, just so you're aware of this developing in real time. The 5 minute here, I have it on my other charts that I actually will be making. You know, I'm going to be more consistent on Patreon about making a weekly video. Right now, things are still a little crazy, but once things do smooth out a little bit, I'll be putting out that weekly video every single week on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I'm going to make a video for Patreon only where we actually have the weekly ranges for every stock on the charts and we can talk about what's happening with those charts. As of right now, Tesla doing a big thing. This is something we would mention in that video if we were making it at this time would be, hey, we just saw a wick up above that weekly expected move. There's your test of the weekly expected move. You ended above it. So we weren't able to close below it on a 5 minute yet. It still is the most likely direction is down from here. It still is down. But if this wants to curl up, then we can be convinced, right? We can be convinced if this wants to turn up. that there is going to be another positive move. Now, you might need to do some kind of cup and handle or something like that. You might want to maybe come up into this zone here, make a little head and shoulders, right? That would look pretty good. But as of right now, direction looks down. I'm just paying attention to the weekly expected moves. We're literally touching it. We're touching it right now. Amazon, this one needs to break to the upside. Look at that, 5 minutes starting to reject here. Let's look over at NVIDIA again, because that was a nice cup and handle. See if this thing wants to do anything. Well, what's happening? Maybe we do want to come fill this gap. Maybe we want to fill it, but if we start to lose this low, make a new one, a little bit worrisome. Still paying attention to that MACD curling up. We're not even negative yet, so I can be patient for a few 15 minutes or so, see if that wants to curl back up in the next, I would say 30 minutes, probably the next 30 minutes. We'll see what NVIDIA decides to do. What are you guys talking about in here? When someone buys puts, do they buy or sell the underlying asset? I mean, I don't know necessarily. I've obviously never been a market maker or anything like that, but usually the way they make money is selling you something with the implied volatility. When someone is buying, say, like a put at lower levels or something like that, they're actually making a maximum amount off you because the premium is higher. That's overall how I think they make money in the market. They know more than the average investor. They know how far down a market is expected to go. That's why having this type of info is very, very useful, because once you start to get to this weekly range, what do? They start selling you puts like crazy. They start selling you puts like crazy at big premiums, and then the calls become a little bit cheap, and then it goes to the call side. So at this point, what they would probably be doing is selling puts, I would say, maybe. Selling puts, getting you to buy them, and then they just make money as that thing reverses around. Maybe someone else who's a little bit more versed in it in the chat could talk about it, but your name's Luke? Yes, it is, Tittles. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's the top of the move. So Tesla's at the top of the move. So that would still tell you, probabilities. That's why I'm saying it most likely is going down, because you have a 68% chance to land in that zone. But if it wanted to use it as support, you need to pay attention to the next 30 minutes, see if that's able to buy up, even on a 5 minute, and then go positive, because that would be a good sign that we're going to see this extend over time. If you keep holding, we held above that weekly move for a while now. Now we break back down to test it. Can we actually head higher from here? And the funny part is Amazon's the only one really doing this, breaking through the previous low, as far as I'm aware. Maybe AMD. AMD breaking below that low. But we kind of expect AMD to just be a piece of garbage. Now, AMD could head to lower levels. What do we want to pay attention to? Does it make a 15-minute divergence? And then do we get good news tomorrow? Sorry, I meant Tesla. AMD heading towards that 200, and yeah, this is what you have to be aware of. Remember, I was like, this thing easily could go to that 200, and then some kind of reaction is most likely to happen here. You start to lose that. Well, we have a little zone down here for you to pay attention to. This zone right here between 155 or 125.66 and 116.39. So we could be heading towards this zone down here as well. But a reaction off the 200 would make sense, and actually, you'll get a little daily divergence here as well. So now that things are pushing down, people are probably piling. It's a demand for the short side still for AMD. So what you would mainly look for is it's probably going to be a situation where calls are a little bit cheaper because they aren't as in demand at this point. Now, once we get to that 200, people might get some demand for those. So we got to pay attention to that. But all right, we'll see what's going to happen with this guy, but I'm just setting it up in case I want to take a play or something like that as we lose the previous low, looking for a 15-minute divergence first. If that doesn't want to confirm, I'm going to wait for this RSI to get above that center line to say, hey, this thing's going bullish, because now you do have structure if you wanted to. Like if this even wants to dip down a little lower, well, what would we do? We'd do something like this, right? So I see the structure in front of me. If that proves itself, I can be a little bit more bullish on AMD, actually. It's been beat up for a long time, and investors around this 200 might like the price of AMD. those weren't the worst earnings, and now you've been beat up. So the chance for catching a bid here actually pretty good. Unless we see that crash scenario play out and Apple really just says no, is not happening. That would be bad. That would be bad for the stock market. Wow, 500 down. All right, so let's see. 500. We're at 500 now for the SPY, touching that weekly expected move. Now look at that. We lose it. Do we close below it? No. We touch the weekly expected move. Look at our little purple lines. They're great. Now, this is still crossed over on a 15-minute. The center line for the RSI, we're below that. The negative territory, we're in that. If we can close at this level, it will go down. But this is where you guys, someone was asking about market makers. Okay, what do they want to do? Well, this is where people will get overly bearish, and they know this is where the implied volatility is expected to go. So they just go, okay, now we're going to sell a bunch of puts while we actually cause this thing to go back up. So we actually bounced off a really important number. Yes, we did. That is very, very important level to bounce off of. We're bouncing off it right now. This is the weekly expected move. So you'd say, hey, this is where I most likely don't want to be too short at this point. This is why a crash short here would be very difficult. I would more treat it as a hedge. And then if it's going to make some crash scenario happen, we can wait for a good time to get in. Yeah, the red lines yesterday treated us really, really well, right? The red line was right here yesterday. The daily expected move, boom, this is where I sold my NVIDIA because that's as far as it's expected to go. And guess what? Maybe throughout all this, what if all the market makers just, what if Wall Street made a bunch of money here? They know that's as high as they want to push it. That's as high as it should go. So they just say, hey, I'm going to take profit. Now we're going to convince everyone this is going down. Now I'm going to take profit. And then they're just going to play around with you. Get out yesterday, way up, so happy. Good job, JS. And hopefully you guys were paying attention to the daily expected moves, because the daily expected moves told you, hey, get out. Oh, 0DT. If you're going to ask about 0DT, I'm just going to be very honest with you. I'm not going to be a guy that tries to explain something he knows nothing about. 0DT is not something I do, like, ever. So you might have to look for a different resource for that. But as of right now, I can't give that info. I don't want to tell you something that's wrong, right? So I'm perfectly fine with admitting, like, 0DT is not my cup of tea, but maybe someone in the chat can really help you out with the 0DT. If I'm doing 0DT, I would just say this. I would say they're most likely selling calls here and selling puts here. And then they're saying, sell the puts, now we make money off that, and the stock rises, therefore they make money off that. Yeah, so that's exactly it. And where did we end up? Well, we ended up at the lowest level of the weekly. So they know this is where people will pile on the puts. Therefore, they sell them to them at a premium. And then stocks start to go up. What happens? Well, they make money from the stocks going up, and they make money off of the shorts that they just sold, right? I don't see us dropping down to here. If anything, I'm actually paying attention to this. I'm actually paying attention more so to this because the weekly's right here. If we were going to see that drop, it probably would have came in right away. The fact that this is a fight before we get data tomorrow, before we get Apple earnings after hours today, people are going to wait. But I want to see if people get too excited before that happens. Or if we just close up in this area by end of day. Well, did we cross this high? No, not yet. But if Apple pushes above there, we might have some kind of squeeze coming. This is pretty much what the signals are telling us are we're going to see some kind of sudden crash or we're going to see some kind of sudden squeeze. And the way that Jerome Powell has caused the market to go up and the sentiment of the market throughout any kind of good or bad news cycle, I still think you actually have a higher chance of probably going to the upside here because stocks mostly go up. But I'm not going to definitively say anything until we take out this high. Or I would say take out this weekly range. Remember when we opened up the stream, we were talking about this and I said, if we cut this low, it's going to be bad and we're going to head down. And then I quickly said, well, if we cut the low and close below the weekly range. If we cut the low and close below the weekly range, because now we cut the low, immediately people probably go bearish. And then what happens? We buy right back up. I thought it was getting absolutely crushed this morning, held like iron on Tesla puts and just got out way up. Your analysis this morning really helped me keep from choking out. Yeah, you still have to see those. The way you would have got screwed, Anthony, sorry, is if Tesla actually confirmed the 30-minute by going into positive territory. So this would have confirmed, and I hope you're thinking about taking profit, to be honest. If you're up after a trade you're sweating on, it's good to take profit and not sweat anymore. So this 30-minute never went positive. It went green for a moment. That was ripped away quickly, and then you don't have to be scared out until this actually goes positive. That's a big, big thing. And this didn't go positive. Very, very good, Anthony. Dude, congrats. That is so cool. Like, you did it spot on how you're supposed to, spot on how it's taught, and of course, spot on how we talk about it live here, spot on how we do it on YouTube. Like, great, great trading. Trading like water, but keeping your head level is very, very good. Great, great job. Love to see it, man. Now, NVIDIA still dipping down to lower levels. Let's pay attention to this 5-minute. Remember, we were looking at this on the 5-minute. Let's see what's developed. Well, we're close to the center line now. We're close to the center line. We didn't even come fill this gap, but we did, kind of try to, right? We came to this bar, but we didn't necessarily fill the actual close. So at this point, we'd say, hey, if we break below there, yeah, we can go a little bit lower. If we break this low, hey, we head lower. But NVIDIA, just keep in mind, I'm going to go click over to NVIDIA real quick. Keep in mind that weekly expected move is pretty much towards the bottom of this zone. Okay, so we'll tell you that for today. Pretty much towards the bottom of the zone is the weekly expected move. So if we're going to see something drastic, you're going to blow through that and then start to create that new low. Make sure there's no wicking up above that or something like that. But as of right now, 5-minute right by positive territory. The next move could come very, very soon. But remember, we talked about what if we doodle around to get tight? Well, wouldn't this be what it looks like to get tight? Wouldn't this be what it looks like to get tight? So now we're going to see price get tight before something happens, and then maybe we see a breakout by end of day. Very, very cool. Hopefully you guys are enjoying some of this technical analysis we got going on. Something we need to pay attention to here is a 30-minute. Okay, we have to pay attention to a 30-minute. If that rolls over from this area, then this was a fake out. And I think it starts to tick up again, that we are going to see some kind of squeeze. Now, when you see this green bar on the histogram, pay attention to what the candle looks like. This is a big wick. You don't necessarily want to see that when you're crossing up, right? You want to see this crossing up with some strength. Okay, that way it can go strong into positive territory here. This isn't even going positive yet. So as of right now, yes, the hedge play is there, but the crash play is not on. The crash play is we turn up on a 2-hour, we get a strong bar into positive territory, and we break above 1683. That is the lower prices for the SPY scenario. But as of right now, if this just wants to fade, it makes total sense. What's happening? We're still remaining above the 200 and the 50. So remember, this can be the crash scenario if we get a strong 2-hour bar that takes us into positive territory. The longer that this volatility starts to break down on the daily, the longer we doodle around, the lower we get on the MACD, the closer we get to going into negative on the MACD for the daily, which leads towards usually some kind of bounce. And then we'd be paying attention to our other zones here, this 13 and 12.12. I think we have a good shot to do something like this, and then we get data later on in May, or NVIDIA earnings in May, anything like that. And we're fading this move even more as we speak. So as of right now, you'd expect, hey, what's the dollar doing? Well, if that curls up, that's going to be bad news. Has it curled up on a 4-hour? Most likely. Most likely it is. All right, we'll have to see. If this curls up one more time, the stocks can still go up, but insiders are selling. Insiders are selling into that move. The 10-year yield, what's that doing? Looks like it wants to climb up, but the big thing here is look at the MACD just getting really, really tight, and now it's right by the center line. So a move up or a move down is possible here. And if you wanted to look at the dollar as well, you got a little bit of a wyckoff going on here. So you do have the base down below. Okay, we have a high. We have the breakout high that convinces people this is going to go skyrocket. And then if this fades, the dollar will go down pretty quickly from this area. I wanted to point that out. But pay attention to the 4-hour. That's going to be important. If this curls up, next big move coming, take out this high, make a new one, or at least test it. So if this curls up, 4-hour takes a lot of time, but it is good to pay attention to today. SPY, let's see what's happening there. Well, we're touching exactly where we expect to touch, right? We expected to come down to this area. We reject the crossing of the 30-minute MACD down into negative territory below the weekly range. So therefore, you would say there are buyers in this area. If we get good news from here, we could squeeze. If we get bad news, we can fall. So closing today at this level would be very worrisome, because if you just get bad news with Apple, that's going to tank. If you get good news, it's going to explode. So this is actually a good day to be like, hey, maybe I want to play both sides, right? Maybe I want to lean one way or the other, hedge the other side, and then see what happens. Or maybe I just want to stay completely out of this. What if I stay completely out of this? Well, then what would happen? Well, let's see if we get that squeeze. Boom, we bounce up. Then we see that taper back down into a zone that's very important. And then boom, that comes down to this zone. Guess what the MACD does? It explodes higher. It goes down to the 30-minute, crosses up. This second move we can be a part of, and you didn't have to play with any of this emotional volatility going on down here. That would be something that I would be open to. Now, if it wants to go the other way, what could happen? Well, we know that, what is there? There's a 2-hour that could create some kind of divergence here. It's going into negative territory. The direction for the 2-hour is still down as of right now as far as the trend goes. And so what could happen? Well, if it goes down from here and I stay out of this, what would I do? Well, I'd pay attention. If it creates some kind of divergence, I have a trade. Now, if that wants to break down to lower levels and keep going, what do I pay attention to? A 30-minute. Okay, a 30-minute going to be very telling. This won't create a divergence right here. It will explode down. What happens when we go down? We get deep into negative. We build towards the center line and we cross back down. So we do something like this. And maybe we get a double bottom down here, but this would be a better play than guessing right now. So unless we get a break of this high or a break below the weekly, we shouldn't be saying any kind of direction. IWM, this is one that we actually put the what are they? We put the weekly ranges on IWM for the Patreon right now, guys. So we added IWM to it if you want these. Now you do have a little bit of a weird head and shoulders in here, so be cautious. You have a 30-minute, right? You have a pretty much almost a double top up here in negative territory. So if the 30-minute rolls over here, you see it can really go negative, break out of the sell zone. But if it just wants to climb up and go positive, then that's a good thing. So I'd say break of this high is telling, break of this low is telling for IWM. We just have to let the price action do its thing. Sold out of 90% of the trade, left a tiny bit if there is a flush. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think that's a very smart way to do it, because it is likelier to go lower, honestly. Even though we're heading into the end of the week, it is likelier for Tesla to end in its zone, right? So the only reason that it's a little less, like the probabilities are a little take it with a grain of salt type thing, is because the Qs are down at its weekly expected move bottom side while Tesla's at its upside, testing its upside. So the fact that Tesla would break down would mean we might see sell-offs across the board, and therefore you'd expect the Qs to break further down. So as of right now, I don't know if I'm leaning towards that. I like the chart trading, but I'm glad to have dividends paying out regularly. Oh yeah. Dividends are the end game, probably, right? Just make some little cash flow with that. I have some cash flow dividends that I'm thinking of. Once if we do see a crash, I'm going to load up on those. They just pay me out like every few months. That's true. That could complicate it a bit. It could, but I think it's perfectly fine if you made money in the move. That's when you use the 10% to see if something crazy happens. I'm not saying Jay, I'm not saying like it can't happen. It's likelier to happen according to the Tesla chart, but when you add in the other charts, such as the Qs, well, what are they doing? They're reacting off the bottom side move. So you'd say upward move from here could mean upward move for Tesla. We still want to pay attention just to a 5-minute, guys. Just to a 5-minute. Look at that. All you have to do, 5-minute. If that curls up, we can go positive, and then we'll find out. Will this curling up into positive territory have enough strength to take out this high? Thank goodness it didn't confirm. What didn't confirm? The downside? 5 to 505 would be pretty cool. Spy is doing what I wanted. Hey, good. You didn't get trapped or anything like that. And this still could be trap the bears, trap the bulls. Well, it would be like this. Trap the bears, trap the bulls, trap the bears, trap the bulls right up at this high here, this gap up. And then trap the bears again, who's to say this isn't another bull trap right up here? So we just have to keep wiggling around, move around those rocks. Let's check in on Microsoft, looking like it wants to make the next move higher here. Remember, this is where we would complete a big cup. Here's your handle. Boom. This is where a big move can come. How high could that go? Let's see how high this thing could go. Well, let's take it from a closing bar. I don't like to do the wick a lot of the time. Let's take it up to here. Okay, just to give a rough estimate. Now, know that I take profit based on how much money I make, what percentage I'm up. So that's overall what you need to, take in. I overall do things based on how much percent I'm up or something like that, not necessarily saying, oh, this has to go hit this move. No, if this just goes to like 405, I'm probably out of this move already, and I'm looking for the next setup going forward. And what I'm planning on doing is, by the way, we can talk on macro side for a second while we got some time. What I'm planning on doing, just so you're aware, and maybe we want to do this on the SPY or something like that so everyone can kind of look at it, is what I want to see going forward is some kind of big pop and just watch this daily roll over. Okay, so if I see some kind of big pop, even if it's a lower high and that rolls down, or if we get some kind of big move like this and that rolls down, divergence will be there and we'll be very close to negative territory, even if it looks like this, right? Look how down that would be. So this is where I'm going to be a big position trader and probably hold my positions for a month. If this were to come, that would be massive. And just know there's a lot of room here to make that divergence, by the way. So we could see a reaction all the way up towards that yearly expected move. That's right. We give the yearly expected move. We're going to start doing that at the end of the year. So on January 1st, you're going to get all of these big, thick red lines. So what happens here? We move up. Oh, what about right there? That's all we're expected to go for the whole year. So that's as high as I expect we go, 543.71. Really, what I'm leaning towards is some kind of pop outside of this monthly, and then we start to drop off halfway through the month, or maybe even around NVIDIA earnings or something like that. NVIDIA earnings could be a buy the rumor, it's going to be great, and then it rips away. Which pattern? Which pattern is rare? Sorry, I was talking a lot there. And retesting the bot, that's what I've been saying, by the way. In order to get this move, I really am still, to get that big all-time high, I would like a stronger base, meaning we do have some kind of pull down, and then that reaction comes back up. I just want you to be aware of that. Like, that would be a much stronger base, but hey, if you look back, some of the strongest moves V-shaped. They literally just did this, right? Now we've done this, which is close, but now we have that opportunity to break back down, and then this could be your V-shape. Or we do something like this, and then we come up to this level again, and then it takes a lot more time, and we get some fight and price action. That would make a lot of sense too. So if we wanted to do like a head and shoulders across the way here, to break higher, this is a thing that could set up. So you can tell by how I'm drawing stuff right now, I'm open to a ton of different scenarios, and I'm just going to follow the price action, see what happens. Let's go watch NVIDIA just for a little bit on a 5-minute, because that thing looks like it wants to confirm this move higher. So if that move confirms, all you're looking for, it's going to test this high, maybe go make a new one. So this test right here has to break through at this point, in my opinion. This has to be a strong move here. And so if we get a strong move today, that just means, hey, I can hedge. I can hedge again. I already have a hedge. I can add to it just in case. With 10% of my upside profits or something like that. I like your 90% play there, Anthony. So I'm going to trust you and say I'll do a 10% play. 10% of my profits I'll dedicate towards a hedge. The SPY, you don't see this a lot. The SPY, if you're looking at the SPY on the daily, you do not see this behavior a lot. This is very, very weird to see. You'll see a lot of that behavior on the way up, but once you make that divergence, usually it's not this extended out for that amount of time. You'll see if we look back even towards you know, our previous all-time high, what did we see? A pretty simple looking thing here, right? Once we actually confirm that divergence by going into negative territory, that's when the negativity really came in. Okay, so to see it like this makes more sense. This just tells you the market is way too bullish. Like this is just either manipulation or just stupidity, and we talked about that a few weeks ago, but not saying, hey, you're stupid if you're in this move. Not saying that at all. I'm saying you're trading it. It's perfectly fine. You got to trade what the stocks give you, and this is what we got. So we have to trade that. And that's perfectly fine. I'm just saying this behavior up here does not happen very often. This behavior down here does not happen very often, especially like holding above the 20 just the entire time. Unless you're in a really, really bullish, like just bull run. This here is that bull run. So that makes total sense. But you notice even in this type of move here, what do? We don't have a ton of that crazy, messed up, tight curling up of the daily every, 3 days. No, it's really not normal. I wouldn't say it's normal. And that's why I'm kind of looking for something normal to see a downturn, because this is so wonky that what if it just continues to be wonky, but then I see something very normal pop up and then boom, that's the moment. So something you can look for, weekly side divergences, things like that. Maybe we'll talk about this weekend, right? We don't have a weekly divergence yet, so who's to say? What if we get a few weeks here of buying and then that's ripped away? We get a little divergence here, at least on the RSI. That's what I would say. I don't really expect it on the MACD, but on the RSI it could happen. So we'll pay attention to those. Remember, Saturday videos are when we go over the macro side, and look at that wick up. Oh, goodness. Let's go look over at NVIDIA again. Ah, NVIDIA, you need to go up from here. Let's see you cross up on that MACD, big guy. Come on, big guy. You guys, I want you to guess what I'm getting for lunch today. Wait. Hold on, let me... No, I'm fine with the other one. Never mind, don't guess what lunch I'm getting today. No, I'm trying to make you feel bad. But I'm perfectly fine. Okay, I'm having, like, what, half homemade ramen, kind of? Yeah. Having partial homemade ramen, which is fine with me. I love it. Good luck, Kalani. Hey, good luck to you too. Up 500 this morning on the SPY. Hey, Kalani. Hey, let's get some... Come on, guys. We got to cheer on Kalani. Kalani up 500 this morning on the SPY. We're definitely going to get FUD at some point, man. Thanks for the guidance. Let me get your lunch. Hey, I appreciate that. In my stream thing, I can't look at that chat, so I'm going to say thank you right now. But thank you guys so much. Everyone give a big clap out, big round of applause for Anthony, giving $15 for Lucas to get some lunch. And I hear wifey in the background. Oh, sick. So thank you so much. Appreciate it, Anthony. Hope the information continues to be helpful. Remember, that's the overall goal here. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Kalani, on your win there. How's the baby? The baby's doing great. The baby's doing great. It's pretty much like, what did you say, Danny? Like 2 days of really fussy and then 2 days of kind of calm? Yeah, it's kind of off and on right now, but... So Ari is doing good. There you go. Anthony's the man. Anthony's the GOAT. That's what's up. And we're still thinking about adding that membership thing for maybe a Friday close members only stream, by the way. But thank you so much, Anthony. And I know I just randomly threw that out there, but obviously my ADD caught up to me, so I had to say something random. I went too long without saying something random and totally off topic, so I said something random and totally off topic. All right, 5 minute here. Looks like it wants to curl up. Using divergence to support and resistance, thanks to you. Hey, Kalani, I really hope you're doing well. Seems like you are with that win you had today. If you're following the signals correctly and you're hedging at the right times and you're just really paying attention to also how you could get screwed out, you won't lose a ton and you'll make your little bits at a time, and hopefully you're able to grow. The fastest way to make money in the market is the slow way. Boom, there it goes. It popped up. Or at least I think it did. Yeah, there it goes. Thank you so much, Anthony. Lilani. Oh, that's a cool name. Virgins required. All right, now, right as we're crossing, we're seeing this thing start to fade. Isn't that interesting? Let's go, take a look at AMD. Let's see what's happening here. Weirdly enough, 5-minute divergence on AMD. Like, if you wanted a hero play, one that might be kind of cheap for tomorrow, might be AMD, giving you 2-hour divergence, 5-minute divergence. I would play with the amount of money you're willing to lose because it's AMD, but means Heavenly Flower. Oh, that's very cute though. That's super cute. Ariana's her name, and that's just because I'm a nerd and it's one of my favorite game characters is Ari. I know. But she let me do it. I gotta pick the girl name, so Ariana Sky. And we're gonna make her into a pilot or own some kind of airplane company in some way or airplane service, and it'll say Ariana Sky on the side of the plane. Having trouble purchasing your course, maybe because I'm from overseas. Is there another medium to purchase your course? I don't have one right now. Let me think about this. I've had people from other places purchase the course. Something that I might be able to do is like maybe the PayPal. Maybe I could add like a PayPal thing on there or something like that, so you could do it. But overall, it should work. So let me see. Has anyone else who is overseas tried to take the course and it hasn't worked out for you? Do you accept Bitcoin? No, unfortunately, I can't accept Bitcoin. I wish I could. Yeah, we do, Fardis. That would make things nice, wouldn't it? So, just saying, AMD. Been beat up for a long time. Please have her take over Boeing. I'm joking that she would do a better job. She very well might. Buys a tight spread today. Earnings will make it react. Yeah, earnings is the big thing here. It's everyone's going to be trying to do something with Apple here, so we have to pay attention to that. Tesla, did we break down any further? No, we're able to hold up at that weekly expected move. So now Nvidia, are we seeing some strength here? Not as of right now. We need that to cross up and go positive. Look at that resistance comes in right when it goes positive. Does Coin have earnings today? Coin has earnings, I believe, after hours today. So really, you're going to see that. Really, you're going to see the volatility come in tomorrow. Yeah, after earnings today. We'll have to see. Oof. You got to break through here, though. You're creating some divergences here. Not that pretty. Let's go back over to Nvidia for a second. Remember, I'm already out of this. I'm not trying to play any more upside here. Earnings is a gamble. Yes, Kalani's spitting some facts today. 9-degree good feelings on earnings. Oh, God, I gotta see. I'm gonna go look at Teachable for a second. I'm gonna go look at the course, make sure people are able to get that if they want it even overseas. I don't want that to be a thing because anyone should be able to learn, right? Hey, Parth, thank you for becoming a Patreon member as well. Parth taking the course yesterday and becoming a Patreon member today. Hopefully you were enjoying it. Where are you from that you're having trouble buying the course? If coin projected earnings impact the crypto markets today, seems like everything wants to turn up, but slow start. We'll have to see. Made 3K on Google, but lose 6K on Nvidia. Even if there is good news, it still could go the opposite direction, unfortunately. Yes, and that's kind of the point. That's why we try to say it a ton during earnings, and I know it can be annoying if you get the point, but the point is, you know, it literally, you might as well. I think I said that in one video. I was like, you might as well grab a quarter, flip it, and see what happens. So let's see tomorrow. All right, guys, I want you to vote in the chat. Heads for Apple good news, tails Apple bad news. Do I have that flipped? Heads Apple good news, tails Apple bad news. What are you guys betting? What are you guys betting for tomorrow? Heads or tails? Tails, so bad news so far. Tails, tails. They missed by a ton, but stock goes up. Okay, so heads there. Tails. Living in Thailand from the States, so I've used both my Thai and US card. However, neither worked. Not sure why. I've emailed support, but they weren't very helpful. Yeah, their support sucks, to be honest. If you... See, the files are too big for me to send anywhere. Hey, send me can you send me an email, John? Lucas, the one that, my personal one, you can use lucas.s.hansen@gmail.com. If you want to do that, send me an email and tell me the problem, and I'll try to solve it in some way. Maybe just by doing like a PayPal donation, and I'll try to get you a free code so that you can pay for it but still get the course. Maybe something like that we can do. But keep trying it throughout the day. Make sure to look at your card. Make sure it's not charging you multiple times or something. Okay, tails, tails, tails. Looks like a lot of tails. All right, so let's see. Moment of truth. Does Apple go up, meaning heads, or tails, down after earnings? Do I flip it over? Wait, we got to do a better one than that. Hold on. All right, do I flip it over or leave it? Flip it over or leave it? We're not looking at it. Flip it or leave it. Haven't opened it. Flip it. Flip it. Flip it. All right, ready? Looks like tomorrow, according to the magical quarter that I found in our laundry room. Most people are saying flip. Apple is going to go... Uh-oh. Heads. Apple's going to go up tomorrow, according to this magical laundry coin. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I got it. I just messed with it, but it was heads. Obviously, don't read into that. Paracosm. Fuck. Paracosm changed his icon, his little photo. Thank you. I'm finding your videos very helpful. Looking forward to your courses. Thank you, Parth. Yes, I actually shouted you out this morning, just saying thank you, and I just noticed you joined the Patreon. So thank you for joining, first of all. But make sure to note in there. Take your time with it. Backtrack. Look at a lot of charts while you're doing it. It'll really, really help you out. And you can always send me a message or something like that on Patreon if you have any questions. Luke, will you get... Dang, sorry, bro. Luke, will you get squared away? Everybody go calls. I swear to God, if you guys all YOLO your money, I'm going to be pissed. We can all sob together or celebrate. Just everyone goes bullish and we just pray. What was the email again? And no stress, man. I'm not in a rush. Okay, that's fine. I just want you to get it while the deal's there, but it's Lucas, Lucas, .s, as in Scott, .Hansen, Hanson, @gmail.com. Or if you're part of Patreon, you can send me a message there. I flipped a coin for PAL yesterday and it hit 200% on lotto calls. Haha, only risked 200 or 20 bucks. Hey, you still made something. All in Aapl calls. We can thank the coin flip. I'll tell you what. If Apple's bullish and we get a short squeeze, and Apple's bullish, we're gonna save this coin. We're gonna save this coin for next earnings. We're gonna save this for Nvidia earnings. That's what we'll do. Same rules. Same rules. I got a dog just staring at me. We have too many dogs here. By eyeing that $4.99 again, let's go check on that for a brief moment here. 5 minute curled up briefly, didn't go positive. Didn't go positive. This is going to be complicated. Now it's like, I think this right here, this type of movement, this is confusion. Therefore, you would say, I don't think anything drastic happens unless that confusion leads to just fear. But I would say confusion could go on the rest of the day. It literally could just keep doing this for the rest of the day, and then tomorrow Apple earnings and data is what decides it. It's the Zillow kryptonite. We need a longer live to pray for that quarter magic. Humana. I like it. That's so funny. Our China sales are in free fall, but AI though, OMG, 10% rip. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's gotten bad news with China, bad news with China, bad news with China, and then the stock could rip, right? But technically the bad news with China is priced in because the price of the stock has come down before the earnings. So technically that stuff is priced in, right? So you would think, if they print anything good or say anything improving, you might see a rip up because it's at a good price. Oh, DJT, we haven't looked at that. Where's Willow? Where's Willow been, guys? We need Willow here to remind me to look at this DJT going on. 30-minute, probably the most telling thing here for DJT. And that would be the next move up comes if that curls up. So it looks like another move could come. Now, this is a big wick. The thing with this actually is, if we zoom out here, I mean, this would be a great area to make the cup and handle. This would be the funniest head and shoulders of all time. Left. Head. Oh my gosh. Right shoulder. Breakout. Big move. I don't know. But it looks like this would be the squeeze play. If this starts to break higher, I think you got the squeeze play going. I think that you probably have to wait for Apple earnings and the data tomorrow. Biden called Apple and make sure your earnings don't miss. The stock market being up is the only good thing we can say. Oh, Carvana. Yo, I used to be obsessed with Carvana when I was still like a little bit fundamental. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm glad I wasn't buying into Carvana. But my goodness, that is a big move. I mean, this move, yes, it has the divergence on the MACD, but that could be some pullback to catch back up to the 5. I think this has a direction chosen. Looking at maybe a 2-hour or a 1 hour, maybe let's just look at a 1 hour for a solid pullback. Let that daily 5 catch up and then see that reaction up. So this is, the direction now if you're able to base out and curl up. It's a lot like Tesla. Tesla able to curl down, direction chosen, but if we curl down, we can bounce back up if we cross back up on this hourly MACD. Starbucks. I don't remember the ticker. I think it's like something, it's bucks or something, right? So Starbucks, is it a buy? Okay, I was like, is that all I get? Okay. I mean, you would say this. It's in a zone where liquidity here, so support here, and now we're right in the middle of that. So this would be an area, I would say, for an investor. That I think an investor here would be very interested, and you're most likely going to see some kind of bounce. Now, you want that bounce, too, if you're investing to get back above this 200. Because as of right now, you're seeing negative territory like over and over. Now, very, very oversold. Why is this taking so long to load? We've been fine all day. Very, very oversold, but that can continue. Just note that the direction here is down. If you're trying to trade, I would not go anywhere near this. If you're trying to invest, I would understand placing some scaling in buys here, but as of right now, that's all I could say about Starbucks. If I'm really wanting to tell you any kind of technical side, well, the direction is down, so most likely this continues and you get some stronger base before you head up. What could happen? 30-minute gets close to the center line, curls down again, then you see that divergence. This would be where I would think about investing. I like to see structure still, even when investing. But that looks like how you would head up, how you would head down. Head up, support as an investor. Head down, you curl up towards the center line on a 30-minute, cross back down, keeping it simple. Yeah, see Carlos taking it in there. Stay away from Starbucks. That's a good thing to say. I would put it that way. If you're an investor, if you're a trader, that's a good way to put it. Wait, be patient, look for a trade setup. There's just other trade setups here. You have NVIDIA that's about to cross. Even on a 5-minute, that could make a big upward move. Now, be careful around this 856 level. We still have to break through that. But we were some of the only ones. I think we were the only YouTube channel probably saying, like, hey, pay attention to NVIDIA, very, very important. Just how Microsoft was very important. Cup and handle formed. Uh-oh, we could head higher. Yeah, well, all the automotive companies seem to be hurting. So, Amog, I hope I'm saying your name right. I really think you want to see if you're treating it as an investor or if you want to treat it as a trader. That will kind of dictate what you do today. Because we trade like water on this channel. Matthew, I love it. Maybe I'll get a trade like water tattoo. We'll do it live because my wife does all my tattoos. Tough economic times, stress companies. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough time, and you also have time where like political stuff gets in the way of people buying from certain companies, and people don't want to have Disney anymore, and people don't want to drink Starbucks because they're an evil corporation, or people don't want to go into DJT because it has Trump in the name. It's just it's a wild time. There's a lot that can happen, and that's why trading like water is a very, very good thing. Yes, I meant buy it as a stock. It has dividend too. Yeah, then that would be a level to start to scale in. I don't know if I'd say like throw everything at it, but I would do maybe like a 20% in or something like that, based on what you're wanting to add to your portfolio. So if you were like, I'm thinking about putting 10 grand into Starbucks, okay, well, maybe you just treat it as an investor and say, I'm going to scale in and put to 20% of that or 25% of that in. And that way, if there is a drop, you're still going to make dividend money over time. You can buy at lower prices, get an even out thing, and then you make dividends as well. That's how I would treat it. Trade like water's been pretty important the last couple of days. Let's see why. Holy crap! Yeah, trade like yeah, makes sense. Like, I love you guys when we were live and everyone was just like, Luke's being really quiet. Luke's just grinning. I'm like, well, it's not every day that you get to be up 500% in 30 minutes. So I made my money and got out, but I still have some playing. Right, I'm playing with house money and was able to make profits. So that's awesome. That's overall the best winning for a trader is being able to do stuff like that, in my opinion. You make money and you can keep money to just see what happens. And Danny, there's a big difference between winging it and seeing what happens. So let's see what happens. I don't do any kind of IPO. I mean, if I look at the stock, right? If I look at the stock and there's nothing to it, I can't say much about it. I would just say a lot of these rip to the upside, then rip to the downside later on, after a couple weeks where the excitement's gone and people just see massive profits and they just take profits. So I don't suggest anything. You'll pretty much I don't want to give any trading advice based on something that has no structure to it and I have no idea where it could go. Because here's the thing, right? This is the unknown, so it could go up to 1,000. Down here's the unknown. This could go to 0, so I'm not trying to do anything with that. Let's look at AMD for a sec, by the way. But I understand if you know more about it, right? Steven, if you know more about it and you did your research on the fundamental side and you want to take it as a fundamental play and you kind of have a price point where you think that's what it is worth at this time, and you say, hey, right now it's below that, and once it reaches that, maybe I want to scale back on it or, take out half and keep the other half as an investment. I totally understand that style of thinking. It's just I don't know enough about it to comment on it. SoFi, oh god, SoFi, we could look at that too. Rejecting the cross as of right now on AMD, that's pretty good. 2 hour though, remember guys, this is a sketchy looking one. But we did come down to the weekly expected move right here. I mean, if you have the balls to do it, weekly expected moves right there. Some kind of reaction up can happen if you complete this divergence. Well, you can roll up that daily. The daily's been beat up for a long time, so a big reaction can come here. And weirdly enough, if this wanted to go green tomorrow, you could complete a daily divergence as well. That is a very, very big signal. I'm sorry if you hear chewing. My dog Bruce is chewing his bone like right on my chair. But yeah, you do have that day. It's not the golden setup that we give you in the course. It's almost there, but it's not the golden setup. It doesn't look very good, but you do have a daily divergence, same time as a 2-hour. Pretty good sign that we want to see a pop. I'd pay attention if we see some kind of squeeze. 183.20 is where I would look for this to fall back down. Now, what can you do with AMD? Well, you knew when it was negative, it was very negative. Okay, this is pretty cool. When it was negative, it was very negative, right? Very down. So if we see some kind of big run up and then that curls back down, what if this is just a big overall ABC move to the downside and you're going to see something like this take place to get you back into this zone? That would be kind of wild, but you can kind of see it right here. It's going to take a lot of work to get above 183.20, and that's kind of your line. That's like, okay, from there we can probably test this high and make a new one. But as of right now, that's what it looks like to me. Not real news. They're expecting a miss, but if they surprise us, it would probably be bullish because the price action looks bearish. It seems like they want to trap retail. I think that's plausible. You do have the signal on the daily saying the daily momentum can take over. The last time you saw something similar to this was the bottom in the same area, literally the same area, and look what happened after that. So squeeze potential is there. Crash potential is here as well, though. You're still in negative territory for the daily, so this has to go positive tomorrow. Oh, God, AMD's PE ratio is just to the freaking moon still. Oh, yeah, SoFi. We can take a look at that real quick, Amog. Let's see what's developed with SoFi. It's been a day or so. Let's see what's developed here. Well, it's coming down. The thing we were pointing out for SoFi was the structure, right? We have a falling wedge. We also have a triple divergence here. We have a multiple point divergence, actually probably a flatness here, but you do have the divergence here. You do have that divergence here, but you don't necessarily have that. You just have multiple point divergence on the RSI down here. So that's telling me, hey, if this can catch a bid and break through, we can see a big move from SoFi to the upside, right as everyone is very, very bearish on it. Now, this is also a dangerous area to take something because you're below the 200, so this could easily flush. Just know this about wedges. This just means we're building up, we're getting tight, a big move is coming, but don't think that because it's a falling wedge, sure, the percentages are there that it breaks to the upside, but don't think that that energy can't be produced the other way, okay? So be cautious, have a stop in place if you're going to play this thing. Bruce, you are a nutball. Yeah, price to earnings ratio for AMD, I have 233.05. 233.05. Hey, you know, say what you want, you know, talk about Warren Buffett, PE ratios, but all I know is when things curl up on MACD, stocks go up, so that's what I'll pay attention to. But 233 for AMD, that rhymed, and that's probably not right. Good God. Yeah. So Warren Buffett would like you to find a PE ratio of 15 to 17 in order to buy it as an investment once you look at the balance sheet. The only problem is I think every single stock in the stock market right now has a PE ratio that is much greater than 20. Dang it, if only AMD was a PE ratio of 16 here, it'd be a great buy. Nah. The Warren Buffett way, it's just it's almost not possible anymore. It's kind of like when I talk to my parents about buying a house and they're like, we did it when we were younger and we both had jobs. We did it. They're like, and we got a loan and we had a 5%, 7% rate. I was like, cool. How much did you make? Oh, you know, $25,000 a year. Oh, okay, cool. How much was the house? $35,000. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's definitely the same. McDonald's workers owned homes back then. Yeah, exactly. Now it's like you make $50,000 and the home you want is 5 times that. If I crashes, buy the stock for long term. That's actually probably a good way to look at it when you see this type of signal. Yeah, I put myself through college waiting tables part-time, and now it costs, I think it was someone put out a thing about Columbia University. It costs $65,000. I think it was $65,000, like without housing or anything like that, for just I don't even think it was 4 year at that point. I think it's more than that. I think it was like $60,000 with housing for 1 year. And I was just like, what? I thought it was crazy when I went there, and I was paying like $14,000 a semester or something like that. I didn't go to Columbia, by the way. Yeah, I didn't go to Columbia. I played college soccer, guys. Are you making Aapl earnings live video? I don't think we'll react to that live because there's nothing we can really do. There's nothing we can really do, and really you're going to see the reaction of the market in the morning. But something you could do is make sure you have the hedge in place, watch the futures market, and we'll be paying attention to we'll mention the Aapl earnings in the YouTube video tonight. We'll be talking extensively about Aapl and what it means going forward, because tonight we're most likely going to be able to say Aapl good earnings as long as the data's good. We're going to see a squeeze, or Aapl bad earnings. If the data's bad, we can see that thing crash. Which one would you rather me look at, Landon? You tell me which one. I'll let you. I'll look at one for you. Which one would you rather have me look at? It's almost a miracle that some of us survive as well as we do. Why dividends have made such a huge difference in my life. Yeah. Oh, they're the same. Broadcom. I don't know. I don't pay attention to every single stock in the market, guys. Oh, I thought you meant like or. Oh, okay. You're still. Oh, you're kind of tightening up here. Let me just think about this for a moment. Say right here. All right, right there is very important. So now we have a little drawing here. Now we can look at some charts. Well, the first thing is, what were you thinking at this level? Let's ask you that, Landon. Landon, what were you thinking about Broadcom at this level right here at the beginning of March? Were you thinking, oh, I want to buy this or I want to sell it? Because at this point, what would I pay attention to? Triple divergence right here. This is a great trade setup. Triple divergence, ability to go negative, ability to flip over the trend. Didn't happen right there. Went to test the high again. We fail. We try to create some kind of range that's starting to get tighter in this range. So I would say something like this is going to take place before the next earnings, maybe. I think before the next earnings, that could happen. When is that? June 6th? So you could just play around for a while, and I would just watch for, if you break through this is a pretty important low, and then you break through this is the only thing that you can really wick with. Okay, maybe we use that to get some kind of bounce to retest, and then we fall down to the 200. Why am I saying the 200? Well, look at this liquidity right there. This is your support area for that. I sold around there, and I'm just looking at it right now. Hey, great trade then. Great job selling right there, following the technicals. Look at the triple divergence on the RSI. Look at the triple divergence on the MACD at the same time. Actually, quadruple. Okay, so quadruple divergence, by the way, one of the strongest signals in all of trading. One of the strongest signals in all of trading right here. So up here, great place to take a position to the downside, because boom, that has the likelihood to drop dramatically. What you go from 1394 all the way down to 1212, pretty much. Now we're seeing that curl back up, curl back down. So now I expect we keep getting tight until earnings gives you direction, unless rumors come out. Bad news for earnings. Well, then that will be priced in, and maybe that's a buy. Good news comes out. Okay, that's going to be priced in, and now that's a sell. So I think you have the opportunity here to say maybe even on a weekly chart. Let's go look at this. And I know you probably want the shorter time frames. We'll go into it in a moment. Weekly chart, if you see bullishness before that earnings, well, what if it just goes boom like this, and then you see a weekly divergence right here? Okay, weekly divergence. That's not a good look if you get that negativity to come in. Okay, let's go down into a 2 hour for this. Let's give you a full assessment here. What I would be paying attention to, notice that the 2 hour, as of the last two swings, is kind of swinging back and forth between these areas. Okay, so right here, swinging up, able to go positive, swinging down, going negative, swinging up. I would expect this MACD to start to get tighter like this. And then eventually, probably around that earnings, you're going to have to make a decision which way this is going to go. If you want to be diligent as a trader, what you would just pay attention to is, okay, am I breaking? If this does get tight, am I breaking down or breaking up? If I break up, I take that. I have my stop at this level. If I break down, I take that. I have my stop at the same level, I would say. So this is a good area here. It looks like a continuation triangle at this point. Tesla, what are you up to? Well, it broke down for a moment. Gotta go, but thanks for all the guidance and expertise. Hey, Anthony, thank you so much for the lunch money. Now I can go to the cafeteria. Now I can get hot lunch at school. 30-minute about to curl up. British American tobacco BTI bull or bearish? BTI. I don't really pay too much attention to this type of stuff. You guys know I like my technical stuff or my what am I trying to say? Tech companies. This here 30-minute does not look pretty. You got divergence all throughout this, but probably what's happening here is a 2-hour play. Yeah. Okay, so 2-hour curling up positive territory. If you don't get rejected right here, and technically you would want to complete the cup at the gap, maybe, or at least at the point where the top of this consolidation here is. Okay, so you're completing that now. Now you could get some kind of little handle that fakes people out, and then boom, that thing takes off. But if you start to close above the 200 here, you don't have very much room on the 2 hour, so this might be brief. So you might want a little bit more consolidation here first. And what I would say is this consolidation might be some kind of bigger handle like this now that you've actually come up to this point. Okay, so because you've come up to this point now, get a deep handle. Okay, that starts to head up from here. So I'd pay attention if this 30-minute rolls down, be a little patient, and then this will be a great play. If you take this right now, it'll be an okay one on the 2 hour, but there is potential to pull back. Let's look at it on a daily scale, by the way, because I like this type of stuff. Damn, I was hoping there'd be like a divergence down here. Now you do, I mean, you technically have divergence and tapering and all that good stuff, right? You had a divergence here that gave you a pop. You have the divergence here and across here. You have the divergence right here as well. So there's a bunch telling you, hey, double bottom could be potentially here. I would really look if you're starting to break above this level, you know, soon, or if you consolidate and break above it later. And then that could be the play that you want to take. We'll see if that upside can come. NVIDIA actually going pretty positive here. Nobody told me. Oh, Marvin just told me. Marvin, thank you. Right as I go, what the hell? NVIDIA's up to something percent. Let's look at that for a moment here. Kind of spread this out. I know 5-minute, that's what glitched out for a sec. That's what we're paying attention to. Seeing if the 5-minute leads to a breakout above this level. Looking kind of at a micro level right now on the 5-minute. Seeing if we can break above this high. That would be very telling. What do we have to do? We have to break through resistance. Okay, so we have to break through this level right there. If we break through that, it's a good likelihood we're heading higher, at least to fill this gap. If not, filling the gap, consolidating, and heading higher tomorrow with some good news if we can get it. Nice consolidating here and run towards close earnings. Yeah. PFC. God, I love looking at stocks, man. Oh yeah, we've looked at this one a few times. Things are starting to really slow down here on my computer. God, it's getting cut. It's because I have to like watch my stream and have my stream labs up and look at stocks all at the same time and click around a bunch. And I am on a laptop right now, if you can believe it or not. It's a great laptop. Look, it's able to do all this stuff at the same time. It's very, very powerful, but it gets overheated. So there's obviously we trade like water, so we got to talk about the way down first before this can go up. This still looks good. But on the daily scale here, you have divergence at all these highs. So if this daily rolls over, be very worried because you can take out this low. You could reach for that 200. Now, on the shorter time frames, I'd say probably a 30-minute. The 30-minute here, what do we see? Well, we see cup and handle, right? We see cup and handle with a flat divergence down here on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So a turnaround from here very likely, able to go positive here very likely. What do we see? Well, if we're going to complete that cup, we're completing it exactly where we should. Now we even got a divergence in this. Maybe we come up to this level, see a little resistance, and then we head higher with kind of a cup into a handle. That would make a lot of sense, but overall, this is a big cup, big handle. And now if we break through this level, very, very bullish sign. Oh, you're good, Mojama. The top for the SPY, very, very high up there, 509.63 for today. And what's more important as of today, looks like the weekly. Look at that test of the weekly. Very, very good test. Not able to curl down on this 30 minutes. So you would give a slight tick up for the buyers at this point, right? The sellers won in the very beginning. Now the buyers are starting to take over. If they can push past this high Mojoma. So pretty much Mojoma, how it is you lose the weekly range, you head down, and we might see volatility really scale up. You get above this high up here, we might squeeze. We might squeeze. Thanks for taking time to give my opinion. Thank you. Yeah, JS. You're always here. You're always showing up. You're always liking the stream. You're subscribed, and your commentary is very useful. I like reading your commentary. It makes me think about some things a little bit differently when you talk about banks and crypto. Great analysis, thanks. Amag, I hope that was really helpful. Amazon's looking good. Diana Munoz. Let's see if Amazon still is looking good. Let's go take a look at that. Remember, this had cup and handle going on. Remember, we have the head and shoulders going on, okay? So we have head and shoulders going on. What's happening as of right now? Well, we're seeing that 30-minute curl up. So the way that you can be screwed out of this trade is if this 30-minute curls down. I just want you to be very aware of that, Diana. The way that you can be screwed out. What is it? Because there's divergence. Okay, so we're maybe going to do, something that I was thinking about doing was kind of doing a stream on a weekend or something like that, where people can join and we can just talk about stocks and kind of ask you guys, what do you think is the most likely thing to happen here, and then take a vote and do that kind of thing, and then we'll talk about it. I thought about doing that at some point, but right now, how would you be screwed out of this trade? Well, if this divergence up here completes. So you don't want a break below this low right here. You really don't. You want to break above this high, these closing highs. I think you really want to break above that. What would that allow to happen? Well, this 2 hour, it's already going up into positive territory. We've rejected the crossing once right here, and you're hoping that positivity comes in. Now, what can we pay attention to from there? The daily. The daily, we really can. We came all the way down. This was a great play right here. Look at that daily, right by positive territory. The squeeze play for Amazon is there. Now, what I'm paying attention to is that squeeze I'm expecting to happen for a few weeks, maybe a couple weeks, and then see some kind of daily divergence for Amazon and across the board. I think we're going to get a lot of daily divergences right when people are convinced this thing has to go higher, sell in May and go away. I hope that was helpful, Diana. So Amazon looks bullish in the near term, right? Daily curling up. I'd be crazy to say like, oh, this has to break down. Now I already said how it would screw us over here, how it would break down, 30-minute divergence. So 30-minute chart, very important for Amazon. And then I would say daily chart crossing above this level right here of 185 is very, very important. And that's probably going to be your confirmation of more upside as long as Aapl and the data tomorrow does not rip us down. Thank you for asking, Diana. Yeah, I'll look at J&J for you. Welcome back, J-Dubs. Oh, looking for the put side. Okay, I totally understand that. This one has the no divergence, sorry. It rejected the crossing to get that divergence. Now we're heading up with an ABC move here. So what do I want to pay attention to? Probably 30-minute here. Look at that crossing down. Okay, so puts here makes total sense. Maybe we go fill that gap or something. How you can get ruined by this trade is if this 30-minute, just curls back up into positive. So that's what I'd pay attention to. Yes, a pullback looks likely. This point here, 147.24, is very important. If I was playing this, I would like an expected move. I would hope that you took the course, you created an expected move for J&J. That came above it with this big move. Okay. And then now you're expecting that to fade a little and then turn back up. If it's outside of that weekly, don't let it fake you out. If this 30-minute curls up at any time, you can see another positive move here. But I get the reasoning behind this, and the 2 hour here, not necessarily showing divergence, but still close to the center line. So if that 2 hour confirms, I can hold it probably all the way down to this gap fill. But as of right now, it looks like low, higher low. So you'd say a higher low is likely here because I'm still in positive territory on a 30-minute. So if that starts to go negative, hold a little longer. But if that curls up at any time, I would not be taking downside on this. Jay, I hope that was helpful. And Jay Dubs, I hope that was helpful. Keeping our eye across the board here now, NVIDIA up 2.31. Okay, so we still have to pay attention to this, the 5-minute. I think that this is a very good sign, seeing that go positive. Just note that the way that this can be ruined here is if this creates triple top, and then we see that divergence proven and the 5-minute rolls negative. That's when we can start to head down lower. Thank you guys for smashing that like button, talking about the course, joining the Patreon, asking how you can buy the course if you're overseas. I'm pretty sure you can. The link's down below, $149 for the next 48 hours. Actually, that goes till May 4th. Is that 48 hours? Yeah, technically 48 hours after today. Any earnings you're excited for? You have to be excited for Apple earnings. You have to. Because Apple's what's going to dictate whether we see a squeeze. Well, Apple and the data. So really, I'm excited for tomorrow. I think tomorrow's going to be a crazy, crazy day. I know you don't trade around earnings, but I'm dead curious. Well, I trade other things around earnings. I just don't trade that particular stock. Because, so if Apple produces bad earnings and gives a very negative print and everything's bad, it's going to go down by like, what, 10%? But Microsoft might only go down like 2%. So I'm trading Microsoft because it looks good. So I'm trading Microsoft because I don't want to trade around Apple because it has earnings. But Microsoft's showing me a lot of good here. And you got this on Patreon yesterday. So you were able to make a solid play here. I already took some off the table here. You guys know that. I'm letting the rest ride. But look at this. Today, green impression on the histogram. Multiple point divergence on the MACD. Triple divergence on the RSI. Do not mention Zillow, Mojoma. I swear to God. How long have you been trading? 10 to 12 years, but really technical side, I took very serious. I used to be fundamental, but I know we say this a lot, but I used to be fundamental, got screwed, went away from it for a bit, still played around with it, found technical analysis maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 3 to 5 years ago. Well, 4 or 5 years ago. And then I took it very seriously about 3 years ago, turned into a good swing trader. And then after that, that's when I started to make my own strategies. So everything in the course has everything I've learned from other people's courses. I've paid thousands of dollars for the information that I give to you guys in the course for $149 for the next 48 hours. So technical side, though, I started to take it very seriously over the last 3 to 4 years. And that has really changed things for me. So I am one of those people who takes fundamentals into consideration, mainly macro data, not necessarily every earnings, but macro data I take into heavy consideration. But ultimately, I think the charts prove what's going to happen before that news comes out. What's Schedule 3 mean? But yeah, if you want my full history, like someone asked me about it and they took the course and they asked me like what my history was. I typed them the whole thing. They were like, how do I become a good trader? And I told them my history. They were like, man, you should tell that story in a book or a YouTube video, because they really enjoyed it. Because I've had a lot of things. I've done a lot of things in my life. I've been a TikTok star. I've been almost a professional soccer player. And then I got injured the day before the Red Bulls and New York City FC came to scout me. And then I had to drive 17 hours home with a sling on. And then I created my own app, which was ruined by COVID. And that's when I started to take trading very, very seriously. I needed a way. I lost my house at that time too. So I needed a way to make money and I wasn't allowed to leave my house. So I was like, you know what? I like stocks. Let me take this seriously for once. And it's probably the best decision I ever made. That took Tesla for the long and made 2K. Diana, we love to hear it. We love to hear it. And I'm glad it matches up. I'm glad you did your research too. What's pumping? Method, heroin, and fat. Yo, fentanyl's crazy. You guys, I'm in Kansas. This is the middle of the country. We get a lot of crazy drug stuff and things like that. But my teacher, my professor in college, my business professor, he actually has a farm And he said the same beat up FedEx truck would show up every single night, and it turned out it was like serious drugs, and he had to like go out with a gun and stuff like that. Wait, someone asked me to look at, oh yeah, let's look at Zillow. Man, Ari's crazy. Remember, guys, that here in about 10 minutes, we are going to do a full breakdown, and then I'm going to go get me some lunch. Now, Zillow, the earnings came out, so that's good. What can we pay attention to? Well, 2-hour divergence. If that wants to complete, this might have been a fake out. As of right now, you know the direction is down, though, so if this 30-minute builds up to that center line, crosses down, negativity is coming. Now, the big thing here is why you probably don't want to take anything too bullish as a trade. If you're investing at these levels, I kind of understand, but treating this as a trade, I would more look for daily divergence first, which you actually have right now. If it rejects that crossing, 2-hour divergence is there. You actually could see an upward move from Zillow. Will I be trading this? I don't cuss on this channel very, very often, but fuck no. This thing is immediately in my burn book, right? This is in my Death Note book, and I will not even pay attention to this because Zillow was one of my biggest losses for, what was it, $6,000 to $8,000 in like an hour. Yeah, so at least we got the technicals here, right? We got the technicals, okay? So this actually, I could have played this when we talked about it last. We did talk about Zillow around this time. What do we say? Well, we do this. What do we do? If we see a breakout, this is as high as it could go. And then we said if we see a breakdown, this is as low as it could go. If you're looking for that expected move there, okay, well, let's see. If we're treating this as some kind of continuation flagging here, well, we could head a lot lower. But if you wanted to say, okay, well, if this is going to see a minor pullback, well, it would have held up a little bit better. But it turns out when you got to that point, you consolidated and just kept trickling down. So I don't trade around Zillow anymore. Double top on NVIDIA. Could be. It could be. That's why you have to pay attention to things rolling over right now. So something we probably need to look at real quick. I'm sorry if you guys are telling me to look at stuff, but something you need to pay attention to. Volatility. We still have the potential here for the 2-hour to roll up into positive territory right before a big event. So this is matching up. Do we see anything on the SPY that's matching up? That's what you have to say. You know, you want to see it at the same time as you're seeing something bearish on the SPY. What are we seeing on the SPY? Let's click over to there real quick. Well, we have a 2-hour that rolled over and went negative, so it's already there. The negativity can be there. What are we seeing in the nearest price action on like a 30-minute? 30-minute looks like it could cross down, while there is 2-hour triple divergence on the VIX. So that tells me, hey, a good point to, you know, say this could go up from here. We could see a squeeze, but I need to hedge if I'm leaning that way because of how the VIX looks. Now, something to pay attention to as well is the Dow. I think the Dow is going to be telling. Maybe if the Dow makes an upward move by end of day and takes out this high, even if the SPY's not able to, it kind of says, hey, lean in that direction. That's what I would say with the Dow at this point. But you have to expect the Dow to most likely just keep doing this, and then maybe tomorrow we see up in this area. Maybe we even do some more of that. Maybe we do more and we get real tight. But as of right now, price getting tight, big move incoming. Okay, what's going to happen from here? Well, break up or a breakdown. And so you just pay attention to when this actually crosses and react. Thank you guys for tuning into the stream. Let's see how many likes we got before we do a full breakdown. We're going to do that full breakdown right now. It says 60 something. All right, 85. We'll take 85. 15 more. Come on, 15 more for the breakdown. Let's get this little breakdown going. All right, let's do a full breakdown. Gotta go. Have a good day. Matthew, good luck on your trades for the rest of the day. All right, bud. Now, what are we paying attention to for the SPY? Well, yeah, 30-minute going positive. As of right now, you're just seeing if the 5-minute can roll up into positive territory. That tried to happen, but maybe we see a reaction like this and we get some kind of double bottom before. So we'll pay attention to the 5-minute. But overall, the main signal for, I would say, some kind of squeeze is 2-hour rolling up into positive territory that eventually takes out this high. and gets above this zone. Once we get above this zone, very, very bullish sign for the SPY. Okay, the Qs, similar thing, watching for that 2 hour to curl up. If we get above this level, we can see a squeeze. As long as that news is good tomorrow with Apple or good on the macro scale for that data. So we'll have to see if this is going to curl up. Now, if that does want to curl up, okay, what could happen? Well, we're going to squeeze. And where do we get very, very bullish? If we come above this zone. This zone here is actually what I created recently, just showing you guys how we fight in that zone. We try to use it as support a bunch of times. We gap into it. We use it as resistance. We use that zone as resistance. So this is a very important zone. If we can blow past that, I just spat everywhere. If we can blow past that, that would be a very good thing. Sorry, that drawing wasn't real. If we can blow past that, use it as support, head a little bit higher, that would be a good thing. Even if we go to the top of it and kind of dink around for a little bit and then head higher, and then we'll have to see from there. But we're paying attention to a lot as far as the Qs goes. Curling up on the 2 hour is the main signal, and getting above this high would, the 2 hour curling up would cause that to happen. Apple, this is the big dog. It's got earnings. So you guys know the technicals you got to take with a grain of salt, because earnings, 50-50 flip. Now, we did flip a coin. We did flip a coin, and it said, if the magical coin is right, it said that the earnings are going to be good. So we'll keep that coin around. We'll leave that on my desk so we can use it next time. If it's right, we'll keep it. If it's not right, we'll get a different coin. That coin wasn't the good one. All right, so what needs to happen here? 2 hour curls up. Now, something we can pay attention to right now, not a 45. That's random as heck. Actually, 45 curling up. 30 minute, I just really like the 30 minute. Now, you do have some sort of flagging in this area, so if that wants to break down, turn over and go negative, that's probably the direction. But remember, if that happens before the earnings comes out, then it's still a 50-50 flip. So hard to do this, but what could happen here? Curl up. What if we get a 2 hour or 30 minute divergence up in this area? This is a sell zone. So if you really don't want that to happen, you got to get past that zone above you. It's a pretty big zone, but from about 175 to 180. Tesla still waiting for that 30 minute to go positive. Congratulations, Anthony, and thank you so much for the donation for lunch today. Now I can eat. Now, seeing this 30 minute come down to this area. What's at this area? The weekly expected move. Okay, so if you're part of Patreon, it pays to be a part of the Patreon. It's a cup of coffee a month, and you can get these weekly ranges. We make a big reaction outside of it. You know, hey, there's a 68% chance to land in this zone, but I can also use it as support if we're going to continue that craziness. So at this point, if that 30 minute rolls up and you hold above that weekly range, especially going into the end of the week, it's pretty bullish looking. And the reason that I'm going to lean to the bull side here is because we still have this daily divergence. Now, this daily divergence is getting into positive territory right now. This is a beatdown, 30 minute curls up. Where can we get to? 205. 205 looks pretty likely for Tesla if we can curl up and get some good news tomorrow. Amazon, a lot of people looking at Amazon. Congratulations if you've been able to make some money off of Amazon, because the weekly ranges have really helped us. 166.12. The cool part about this wick last week was the weekly ranges right there. So if you just took a play on this, you know, because it happened early on in the week, right? It happened, well, actually it happened on a Thursday. I'm lying to you. Happened on a Thursday. So you can still see those wicks up. And that was a very ballsy trade to take, but I'm assuming someone did. And I think that's awesome. But what you need to confirm in order to see the move higher, get above this high. What that would do is get you a daily print up like this, get a green impression on the histogram, another big move coming, test the high, make a new one. If we're going to roll over right now, then you're not going to see that confirm. We're just going to see some things roll over into negative territory. And that's where I'm paying attention to a 2 hour. You see the 2 hour here, still close to that center line. So we have the potential to roll over from this area. And the reason we have potential to roll over, 30 minute. Okay, now this is not towards its daily expected move. Let me just go check real quick. Or sorry, weekly expected move. Yeah, not even close to its weekly. It's right in the middle. So you have the opportunity to make like a 7% move down. Sorry, that's more than 7%. You have the opportunity to make like a 10% move down or a 10% move up after the Apple earnings. So Amazon might react very dramatically to Apple and be very cautious. This 30-minute divergence could play out to the downside. And since the momentum is dead up here, if it gets bad news, it's over. But if it gets good news, that energy can be distributed up from here. And you are completing left head, right shoulder, base up in here, You crossed it. Now you're retesting it. Boom, off to the races. So you have a way up and a way down, and this is going to be very much so affected by Aapl going forward. So have stops in place. NVIDIA, this one is huge right now, huge. And we saw the structure in here, but the shorter time frames, right, or the 30-minute here, a little bit higher than the short ones. 30-minute has to at least go positive. That would convince me, hey, we're going to test this high, make a new one. But as of right now, what do I want to pay attention to? 2 hour. 2 hour, if that's rolling down, right, can that remain positive? If that starts to go negative, you're going to lose this level, and then it's probably going to create some kind of divergence down here, but we have to be open to downside at this point. The daily is rolled up on the MACD as of right now, so that is something to pay attention to as well. Daily's rolled up, but is it positive yet? No, it's not. So you could just see the indecision that's going on right now. You could just get that for the rest of the day. That's kind of expected, an inside trading day. That way we can see tomorrow is going to really dictate everything, which is, it's awful for a trader. It really is. It's awful for a trader. But the structure here in the shorter term, it looks good. So it doesn't look horrible. The only thing going on here that could be bad is, well, you could say a triple top maybe could be happening, but I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would just say if 5-minute rule's negative, I'm still paying attention to tomorrow. As of right now, we're consolidating, right? We're consolidating like this. You see that resistance comes in right at that wick. Okay, like this. What if the 5 minutes still piles up even more and then just crosses back up, crosses down, briefly crosses up positive territory? So you got to flip back and forth here, wait for that earnings, and most likely react tomorrow based on that. AMD, I'm leaning towards the upside for NVIDIA, but I have to pay attention to what can screw me out of a trade, and that would be Aapl earnings and data in the morning. AMD, 30-minute, real quick, little divergence down here on the RSI for this 30-minute double bottom. This looks like an okay play on the 2 hour. We're very overextended to the downside for quite some time. We're reacting down towards that 200. We have a 2 hour divergence right here that could lead to some upside. If that's able to gain some steam, well, then we might be off to the races. Why? Because of the daily MACD. And I know I'm flipping around very, very quickly, but the daily MACD, what are you seeing as of right now? Actually, a divergence on the RSI and MACD at the same time. If we turn up tomorrow, boom, you'll have a little divergence there. And we could climb as high as, I think, 183.20. That's where I expect, hey, some kind of lower high can come in. Or if we retake that, we're going to use that as support to head higher. Very good liquidity in this area. So if we get past it, we'll probably dip back down into it to then make the next move higher. Pay attention to that. But AMD going down towards the 200 and has some good divergences in a liquidity zone. Now Meta, this one here, a little bit hard to trade lately because of the direction. So what do we want to pay attention to? Well, the 30-minute most likely has some roll downs now, right? Crossing over. But what was it able to do? It at least was able to buy a lot of time to be positive. The hourly is going to look a lot worse. So if that hourly turns over, you know, negativity is probably coming. But the thing is that weekly expected move is pretty much right below you, right around this area. So if we did make a hip fire move, we could see that reaction. The big thing is you got to take 453.08. If you can retake that, use that as support, then you actually have a good chance to come and fill this gap. And I want you to make sure to pay attention to that. Microsoft, this looks like a good little trade setup. But what if we make one more dip down first? Okay, that would take us outside that weekly expected move again. Double bottom in play, 30-minute divergence. Okay, I'm scaling into this still if that happens. I already have a little play that I'm holding. Sold out yesterday because it was up like 200% in 30 minutes or something. So I took some off the table and left some in there. But right now, we can see this big thing on the 2 hour. Crossing up positive territory, even with the negative bars here. So if we can get that positivity above this high, get this into positive territory, boom, big run coming. What could happen from that, and why is that important? Well, we have divergences down here, multiple point on the MACD, and then triple divergence on the RSI. So I know I've said this a few times, but this is just a good thing to pay attention to. 30-minute could roll over first before we see that reaction, but if we lose this support, that's really bad. So we're going to pull up the daily, just show you guys what could happen from here. All right, so on the daily scale here, we're in kind of a rising wedge. We're just wedging. We're getting tighter and tighter to the upside, but it's pretty wide still, so we can still see a reaction up. What could happen? Well, if we get that reaction up, look for a lower high first. Anytime this thing rolls over into negative territory, bad sign, but if we're able to build back up and go positive here, we could get a big extended move all the way up towards like 450. We really could. So you would say we curl up on this MACD and goes positive. Okay, test the high, make a new one. And if it's like, hey, we're going positive as we test the high, if we break through there, you probably got some upside to 450. Google's another one we were playing with. Now, this is outside of its weekly expected move still, I think. I think it's outside of that weekly expected move to the downside. Isn't that surprising? But what are we saying? Everyone's saying, should I take Google calls? Should I take Google calls? No. Wait for the 30-minute to curl back up into positive territory. What happens here? Well, 30 minutes going slightly negative, I believe. Yeah. So we got that roll up, but it's just not confirming anything now. And that could be because people are waiting for Apple earnings. Okay. Google may be waiting for Apple earnings moving sideways. So you would say, hey, if I break this low, we're already retesting probably that weekly expected move a few times. So we can break down from here if I just curl over and go negative. But if I just turn up and go positive with some good news, well, I'm expecting this, maybe this to happen. Okay, so if we curl up, I'll pay attention to some divergences up in this area. Volatility, let's just go over volatility real quick. Still dropping off, but gaining some steam here. 2 hours, the most important. If this 2 hour curls up into positive territory, not a good sign. And you see this wick up, wick down. Okay, so we go up, we wick down. Now we can go up again, see if that crosses over. There's a lot of confusion, and you can see that from little things like this. A lot of confusion in the market. The important part here is you have the ability to go lower in the SPY, even though you're at that weekly expected move downside, but you have the ability also to turn up in volatility. So two things at once are starting to add up. Maybe some volatility comes in. Very, very dependent on the earnings and the data going on tomorrow. So pay attention to the data and mostly the reaction to the data, because even if we get good data, we could see a good reaction. Even if we get bad data, we could see a good reaction based on how people take it. Do they want the stronger economy and see that as a good thing for growth? Or do they see the deflationary play as a good thing, and then the rates come down and we see it go up as well? So we're going to be paying close attention to that tomorrow morning. The dollar, something I was just mentioning today, was the fact that the 2 hour could roll up, and look at that, it's rolling down. So we probably have some buying going on as of right now. What could happen here? Well, the dollar already crossed over. And one thing to mention here is, I think I said this already. It looks kind of like actually shorter time frame. 4 hour curling up was really what we were paying attention to, that going negative. So if you break below this level, Wyckoff is on the table. So you have this high, right? You have the high. You have the high that comes a little bit above it, right? Just barely. Actually, pretty much a matching high. Okay, so matching high, and then you're in a range. Okay, so you're in a range, and now we can see some kind of push down. If you wanted to create that range a little bit thinner, we would say reaction, breakout, distribution goes down. So we'll have to see what happens with the dollar, but that is rolling over negative as of right now. You start to break through the downside here, positivity can come back into this market. TLT, this thing's still heading flat for today, but was heading down today. But if this catches a bid, that means those yields are going to pull back. And on the daily scale here for the yields, you see all the 4 hour divergences up here. The daily scale really looks like we're going to pull back a little bit further. Even if that reacts all the way down to here or something like that, we'll have to see. All right, let's go leave this on the SPY for just a little bit here. We're going to put it on a 5-minute chart for you that's rolling positive. All right, so what could be happening in the nearest price action, though, for the SPY, I just want you to be aware of this on a very short time frame, is if we see some rotation down from here, look if we can use this again. We could double bottom with our weekly expected move. That would be a good sign. Because we're here, and Friday we're supposed to close above this level, 68% chance still, so we could see that buy back up if we get any kind of rollover. If we keep rolling up, well, positive territories there. We're probably going to see things like NVIDIA make that confirmation higher. Right now it looks like it wants to pull back for a little bit, but we'll have to see. And if it wants to pull back more dramatically, just also take into consideration this could be some sort of flagging too. So I want you to kind of draw this on your chart as well. Do something like this, because a lot of the time we can dip into these gray zones once we break out a few times, and maybe we want to dip lower to grab those buyers, and then we see that reaction. We see something like this take place. So kind of like a head and shoulders almost. A lot of the time when you break through flags and things like that, you do create some kind of head and shoulders. Okay, so that's over the overall breakdown. I'm gonna leave you guys on the SPY for now. Read through chat and say thanks for joining, but let's see what you guys are saying in here. Trading inside weekly buy bid is going to have a last city focus, sell the rip. And that's very true. We're going to get whipped around. So just be on your toes. Yes, okay, Didi, but I want you to understand how that news already came out, and that's why Apple has been suffering. That could be priced in already. So if they say anything good from here, even if the negative numbers are there, you can get a positive reaction. And I want you to be aware of that because we already got the China news, we already got the iPhone sales news, and that's what's really been beating Apple up. It's kind of like Tesla. Tesla already got all the news, and then they produced bad numbers, but said they're working on something else. And I think that could very well happen with Apple going forward. So, hey, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys showing up today. We will be talking about Apple earnings tonight. Okay, so on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed and you have those notifications on. If you need an opportunity here, if you want to just wait for some direction for Apple and some data to tell us which way we're going, it's a great opportunity to take the course, guys. You have 48 hours to still get that course for $149. If you're having trouble getting it, message me on Patreon, message me on my email and things like that, because we could, have the opportunity to learn these things over the weekend and then come back with a fresh perspective. So I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to let you guys watch the SPY. Looks like a slight upward move on this last 5-minute bar. Let's see if it can go positive. But just remember that for the SPY, this level means potential for a squeeze if we get above it. This level right here, the weekly move, if we get below that, potential for some kind of crash. So let's be open to that. Thank you guys for joining. Really, really appreciate you guys being here. Congratulations on all your winnings for the day. And I hope that you guys have all the luck in the world for the rest of the day trading. I'm going to go get some lunch. Peace.